Chapter 2684. With this ticking time bomb, although Yi Zichen pretended to be relaxed, he couldn't help but glance at him from time to time. He really had no choice. Kenai Space Station was a large-scale space energy supply station. The energy reserves here were in the hundreds of trillions of tons. That was an enormous amount of energy. If it exploded, not even Dukes could withstand it. Aylin tilted her head and glanced at Yi Zichen, her eyes filled with inquiry. "If I blow you up, can you withstand it?" asked Yi Zichen. Aylin furrowed her brows. She seemed to be considering this question. After about half a minute, she frowned and shook her head. "Even you can't withstand it." Yi Zichen sighed. Even Dukes couldn't withstand it. People like them, who hadn't even reached the titled level, would be blown to smithereens. It was no wonder that everyone here was in danger, or else they were scrambling to get out. No matter what the artifact race thought, this sort of potential threat was terrifying. "Keep an eye on him." "I'm fine." Suddenly, two words came out of Aylin's mouth. "He's safe." "Is that so?" This time, Yi Zichen understood what Aylin was trying to say. She'd gotten to the point. He guessed that she could sense whether or not this artifact race person had ill intentions. "Great deity, we're back." At that moment, Meng Luo ran back with a pile of food in her hands. Yi Zichen was dumbfounded. It looked a bit like Earth's barbecue, except the ones here were a bit too big. Everyone said that Earth's barbecue was the best in the Northeast. They were all big skewers, but compared to this place, they paled in comparison. An entire octopus. There were over a dozen claws. There were even some animals' legs that the flame rat had to use both hands to grab. "They're all this big?" exclaimed Yi Zichen. "Great deity, this is delicious. Have a bite." Meng Luo extended the octopus in front of Yi Zichen. When he saw the tentacles, Yi Zichen couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. "I'll pass. Do you want that ice woman?" Meng Luo extended the octopus in front of Su Luer. When she saw this, Su Luer seemed somewhat surprised. Their relationship hadn't been particularly harmonious since they first met. She didn't expect that Meng Luo would still give it to her. "Do you want it? I'll buy yours too. Try it, it's really delicious." "All right." Su Luer reached out and caught the octopus. Meng Luo's eyes widened in anticipation as she bit into it. The moment the octopus meat entered her mouth, she froze. "How is it? Is the fried chicken delicious?" "It's really not bad." Su Luer nodded, then looked at the octopus on the skewer. "What kind of meat is this? There's cosmic energy in it." "I don't know. It's fine as long as it's delicious." Meng Luo smiled and took a big bite of the octopus on the skewer. "I have more here. I bought them all for you." The food Meng Luo took out from the dimensional storage device she carried with her could pile up into a small hill. Fortunately, the rest area was spacious enough. Even though it took up a lot of space, it did not affect other people's walking. "Come and give it a try," Meng Luo said with a smile. "All right." Seeing that Su Luer and Meng Luo's relationship seemed to have changed, Yi Zichen smiled. The aroma of food quickly spread throughout the rest area. Many people looked in their direction, including the expert from the device clan. The artifact race. Winnie was also startled at this moment. "Why is there an artifact race? What's that big guy doing? I've never seen a human like him before." Meng Luo bit into the meat and muttered. "He's from the artifact race," Winnie replied. "Oh, there's also the artifact race. Does he have anything to do with the Artifact Alliance?" "No." Winnie shook her head. "Miss, it's best if you don't pay too much attention to him. The artifact race is a very dangerous race." At that moment, a staff member walked over and reminded Yi Zichen kindly. "But he looks like he's very dangerous." Meng Luo tilted her head and looked at the giant sitting by himself in the rest area. There was no one within 100 meters of him. Even if someone wanted to pass by, they would take a long way around him. It was as if he was the only one in the rest area. Meng Luo pursed her lips, then looked at the mountain of food on the ground and rolled her eyes. "Hey!" Meng Luo waved at the artifact race member. Everyone looked at Meng Luo in shock. There were truly too few people who dared to take the initiative to greet the artifact race. "Miss, he's very dangerous," the staff member reminded her again. "Not at all. Meng Luo tilted her head in confusion. Meng Luo tilted her head in confusion. I can feel that he's a very kind person. Why do you say that he's dangerous? He's from the artifact race. What about the artifact race? Meng Luo raised her head with a displeased look on her face. My mother taught me not to look at any race differently since I was very young. As long as they live in the human universe, they belong to the human race. As long as they belong to the human race, then everyone is equal. But he's from the artifact race. Does he belong to the human race? Meng Luo argued. You people are so interesting. The artifact race offended you. So why do you reject him? I want to call him over, and I want to share my food with him. Are you going to control me? We don't have the right to control our customers. Then don't mind me. Meng Luo wrinkled her nose, then looked at Yi Zichen. Great deity, can I invite him over? Yi Zichen looked at Winnie and Aelin. Winnie's gaze was somewhat hesitant, but she didn't seem to object too much. Aelin nodded in agreement. What do you guys think? I don't care, Hua Jinro burped. In any case, I can't eat anymore. If he's willing to come, that's great. I spent over 6 million universe credits to buy all this. I'm fine with it. Baiyu muttered. Up to you, Su Lua replied. The flame rat acted as if it didn't know anything and continued to compete with the thigh it could only hug with 2 hands. None of them objected. Although Yi Zichen was rather worried, he still smiled and nodded. Sure, sir, he from the artifact race. The staff member reminded them. It's fine, Yi Zichen smiled. If you have time, why don't you go and take a look at when the warship's fuel can be transported back? We're in a hurry. I know, right? Meng Luo wrinkled her nose, then smiled and waved at the artifact race expert. Hey, big guy. Here, here. Meng Luo waved her hands excitedly. Do you want to come and enjoy our food? It's really delicious. Do you want to come? Chapter 2685. Everyone in the lounge was stunned. They looked at Meng Luo waving her hand, then at the implement race expert, who was like a small mountain even as he sat there. Perhaps the implement race expert hadn't expected someone to wave at him, and even invite him to try some delicious food. He didn't think that was possible. He shouldn't have been the one shouting at him. He didn't even glance at him. Until, can't you hear me? Whispered Meng Luo. Meng Luo was only 1.5 meters tall, but in front of the 6-meter-tall implement race expert, she didn't even reach his knees. Even though the implement race expert was sitting down, he still made Meng Luo seem tiny. Hey, I'm talking to you. You're so rude. Regardless of whether you're willing to come or not, you should at least give me an answer. Meng Luo slapped the implement race expert's calf. This slap almost scared the living souls out of the lounge. In that instant, they felt like their hearts were on the verge of freezing. Slapping the implement race expert's calf. Wasn't she afraid the implement race expert would explode? Although everyone knew that wasn't very likely, they didn't dare touch the implement race expert. Who knew where they'd set up the self-destruct mechanism? Forget touching him. They didn't even dare see him move. They were all afraid. Hey, little girl, do you want to die? Shouted someone in the lounge. Hurry up and get away from that implement race expert. Also, don't make such a ruckus. Even if you want to die, we haven't lived long enough. Who are you? Meng Luo frowned at the yelling human. You're really noisy. You stinking brat. How dare you talk back? Before the human could even finish speaking, an icicle fell 10 centimeters in front of him. Using ice, there was only one person in Yi Zichen's group. Su Lu. Ice woman, you're a good friend. Meng Luo giggled and waved. Next time, I'll treat you to even better food. Su Lu didn't reply. She lowered her head and continued to savor her food. Warrior level? You're seeking death. The human who'd been frightened by the icicle was a commander-level expert. When he saw that Su Lu, a mere warlord, had dared meddle in his business, he glared at her. My big sister's temper isn't very good, sorry. I'll apologize to her. As the commander-in-chief approached, Yi Zichen smiled and nodded. And my little sister, she's just a little childish, and her words are a little impulsive. As a senior commander, I believe he won't be angry at the juniors. Who do you think you are? The commander-level expert glared at the smiling Yi Zichen in disdain. General, do you have the right to speak in front of the commander? then do you have the right to speak in front of our Lord? Winnie walked forward, her Duke presence filling the rest of the lounge. The commander-in-chief, who had been acting domineeringly just a second ago, felt his breath catch in his throat. He stiffened his neck and looked at Winnie, who was standing behind Yizichin. Duke, Lord Duke, this junior doesn't know. Apologize to our Lord. Winnie frowned deeply. The commander gulped and said, I'm sorry, my lord. It's fine. I hope Senior won't take it to heart. No. The commander-level experts almost fled in panic. Yizichin shrugged helplessly and glanced at Winnie. It seemed like strength was still the most important thing in this universe. Otherwise, your politeness and modesty towards others would only get you worse. Meng Luo looked away and pouted at the artifact expert. Let's go. There's a lot of food over there. It's so boring for you to just sit here. Come over to our place to play. Are you talking to me? The artifact expert transmitted. You're the one? Meng Luo raised her eyebrows. Yes. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Meng Luo shrugged. I've been calling for you for a long time. We have food over there. Are you coming? I'm from the artifact race. Yeah, it's not like we don't know. Meng Luo smiled nonchalantly. Meng Luo smiled carelessly. Let's go. Don't just sit here. Let's go to our place. Meng Luo smiled and waved at the artifact expert. The artifact expert was sitting in the rest area. After a moment of hesitation, he slowly stood up. Wow, you're so tall. Meng Luo put a hand to her forehead and looked up at the 6-meter-tall artifact expert. Our family also has people as tall as you. We just don't have anyone as strange as you. Come on, let's go over to our place. The artifact race's deterrent force was that no one dared to approach within 100 meters of him. So long as he walked past, everyone would stay far away. Come. We have a new friend. Even from afar, they could hear Meng Luo's laughter. Winnie frowned. She was very wary of this artifact race expert. Everyone said the artifact race was a human-shaped self-destruct device. Her duty was to ensure Yizichin's safety. She had to be absolutely vigilant against any mishaps. Everyone looked up. Only now did the flame rat stare wide-eyed at the artifact race expert. Who is he? He'd been fighting with the meat on the stick and had no idea what had just happened. Introduce yourself. Meng Luo smacked him again. Her slap tugged at the heartstrings of everyone in the space station. Sean. Everyone's ears received a voice transmission. That's a name that suits you. Hua Jianro was the first to nod. Yeah, you look really weird. Why do you have so many hands and feet? Oh yeah, I'm Hua Jianro. Bye you. Hello, Flame Rat. Sulu nodded, then returned to eating the food Meng Luo had brought back. What a dense cosmic energy. She couldn't help but exclaim in her heart. Let me introduce you personally. Meng Luo walked in front of Yizichin. Solemnly. This is the boss of our team, Lord of the Galaxy, Yizichin. Who said he's the boss? Hua Jianro glared. Hasn't the great deity always been our boss? The flame rat transmitted with his mouth full. I never admitted it. Hua Jianro said. Then how about this? Let's vote first. Meng Luo pursed her lips. Those who agree with the great deity being the boss, raise your hand. By you, the flame rat, Meng Luo, Sulu. All of them raised their hands. Hua Jianro was the only one who was dumbfounded as she looked at these childhood friends who had played with her since they were young. You guys are really something. That's right. Anyone would think that the great deity is our team's boss. Only you think otherwise, Meng Luo muttered. Now that the voting results are out, the great deity will be our ancestral Dragon Clan's team leader from now on. Applause. Meng Luo and the flame rat clapped. Sulu, and by you weren't perverted, but Hua Jianro was furious. Then, Sean of the artifact race suddenly transmitted. You guys are going to the ancestral Dragon Clan as well? Chapter 2686. In the rest area, Sean, who was sitting on the ground, had a look of shock in his eyes. Meng Luo and the others looked at him as well. Even Bai Yu and Su Luter took another look at the mountain. His words clearly meant that he was going to the ancestral Dragon Clan as well. You're going too? Meng Luo looked at the mountain in surprise, her face full of astonishment. That's right. Shan nodded seriously. Someone invited me. I've been waiting for him. What a coincidence. Meng Luo giggled. That's right. Shan transmitted back in a simple and honest manner. Sometimes, if you really wanted to get to know someone, you had to get to know them first, before you got to know them. Perhaps everyone felt that Shan was a dangerous existence. As a member of the Artifact clan, no one was willing to truly get to know and understand them. Meng Luo's invitation. Yi Zichen and the others saw Shan in a new light. This seemingly strange and frightening humanoid self-destruct device was actually a very simple and honest fellow. Under his seemingly fierce appearance, there was a very shy personality. When he spoke to Yi Zichen and the others, out of habit, he scratched the moss on his head. When he transmitted his voice was simple and honest, and there was even a hint of introversion hidden in it. What a pity. I can't believe you got invited. Why don't you team up with us and go to the ancestral dragon clan? Meng Luo took a bite of meat and pouted. That's right. Shan scratched his head. Actually, I want to go with you too. You're the first person in all my time in the universe willing to invite me as a guest. Everyone else seems so afraid of me that they don't even dare come into contact with me. Shan's reply was simple and honest. It was from his voice that one could tell that he was actually very depressed in his heart. No one liked being alone. Everyone wanted to make a few friends in the universe. It was precisely because of his clan that he'd lost the opportunity to interact with others. It's fine if you don't know people like that. Meng Luo wrinkled her nose. My mother told me that you need to use your heart to get to know someone, not your ears. Everyone here is afraid of you. But as soon as I saw you, I knew you weren't a bad person. Thank you. Shan's voice was filled with gratitude. Being acknowledged by others was the happiest thing for him. Meat? Do you eat it? Sorry, our race doesn't eat. Shan's tone was apologetic. Although I really want to experience it, our race absorbs the energy of the universe for sustenance. Oh, I see. Meng Luo didn't care too much about it. She knew that many clans were like this. These clans were not the human clan, nor were they the half-human clan or the demon clan. In the human universe, such a race was a very special existence. There was such a clan on Planet Eden. Stone Clan. They wouldn't taste human food. Instead, they would absorb earth elements to replenish their energy. She had even gone to the Stone Clan to stay for 2 days. They were all very kind. In other words, these foreign races were relatively simple and united. Very few of them liked to scheme against each other and fight for power like the human race. You're losing a lot of fun by doing this. Meng Luo muttered. Yeah, I really envy you humans. Shan did not hide the envy in his heart. Can you smell it? No. Our race doesn't have a sense of taste or smell. What a pity. This meat smells really good. Meng Luo drooped her head dejectedly. She just wanted to share this with Shan, but he couldn't feel it. At this moment, Shan's smile froze. Sorry. The person who invited me is here. I need to go. Shan's eyes were filled with reluctance as he stood up. Ah, you're leaving? Meng Luo was stunned. She looked around. Where is he? He's at the docking area. His energy reserves are very sufficient. He doesn't intend to replenish himself here. Shan replied. Is that so? Be careful on your way. All right. He looked at the crowd and waved his hand twice, as if he was bidding farewell. There were many humans in the resting area in the distance. When they saw his movements, they hurriedly stood up and looked at him cautiously. Shan noticed their gazes. Shan couldn't help but reveal a bitter expression. Fortunately, he had made friends with a few humans today, especially the youngest girl. A kind, innocent, and adorable girl. Thinking of this, Shan's eyes couldn't help but reveal a smile. At this moment, the docking area's battleship door opened. You're Shan? The newcomer's tone was very arrogant and gave off a condescending feeling. Yes, Your Majesty Lion Hong. I'm sent by the Equipment Clan to follow you to the Ancestral Dragon Clan, Shan. A human-shaped self-destruct device. You won't self-destruct when you're with me, right? Lion Hong narrowed his eyes and questioned. I won't, Your Majesty. All right, your Equipment Clan highly recommended you. My father has a deep relationship with your clan leader, so there's nothing we can do. Lion Hong stood at the cabin door and waved his hand. Come up, but you better be careful. If you hurt anyone in this cabin, your clan will be exterminated. Understand? Yes, yes, yes. Shan bent his waist and bowed to Lion Hong. Bring him to the storage. I'm afraid he'll harm me in the main cabin. I really don't know why my father would let someone from this clan come. Lion Hong's eyes were filled with strong disdain. Shan silently lowered his waist. Before coming, the clan leader had told him that this majesty was the Universe Mercenary Alliance's majesty, and was even a young lady from the Skyline clan. The Equipment clan had expended a lot of effort. Only then did he manage to obtain a place to travel together. When the time comes, he had to listen to Majesty and not let Majesty be unhappy. He had always kept all of this in mind. Hence, no matter what Lion Hong said, he didn't dare to say a word, even if he was thrown into the pitch-black warehouse. Dong! The warehouse door closed. In the pitch-black warehouse, Shan could only curl up his body. Meng Luo and the rest's smiles inexplicably lingered in his mind. Then he thought about Lion Hong's attitude towards him. It was really a world of difference. Not good. I forgot to ask for their contact details. Yamashita subconsciously wanted to stand up and slam the roof of the warehouse. His eyes instantly revealed panic as he sat down. Not even half a minute later, Lion Hong frowned and walked over to open the cabin door. What are you doing? Are you trying to blow me up? Majesty Lion Hong, I'm not. Shan transmitted fearfully. Lion Hong glared at him fiercely. You'd better behave yourself. If you dare to move again, I'll directly throw you out in space. Yes. Mountain answered carefully. Lion Hong closed the warehouse door with a thud. The light disappeared again. Shan curled up in the warehouse. Yes, they're going to the ancestral dragon clan too. We'll meet again then. Inexplicably, Shan's eyes revealed a hint of smile. After that, he curled up his body and silently waited for the day of their reunion. Chapter 2687. Sir, your warship's energy reserve has reached its peak. Kana Space Supply Station. After 12 long hours of waiting, their warship's fuel supply finally ran out. Along the way, Bailey, as an AI, had been paying attention to the display of the energy reserve data. After confirming that the space station hadn't tampered with its energy supply, he nodded towards Yi Zichen. All right, thank you for your hard work. They didn't have much time to go to the ancestral dragon clan's territory, and there weren't many places to explore in the space station. Thus, Yi Zichen and the others boarded the spaceship and left the space station. After 3 minutes of acceleration, the warship successfully entered the dark universe. If there were no accidents, they would be traversing through the dark universe until they reached the ancestral dragon clan. They wouldn't need to replenish their energy along the way. According to Bailey's calculations, their energy reserves were sufficient to sail to their destination. You're really cautious. Yi Zichen muttered to himself as he returned to his cabin. There's nothing wrong with being cautious. Bailey reminded, it's fine if they use shoddy energy, but I'm afraid that they'll add some other energy to your energy supply. That's true. Although the probability of this happening in the universe was very low. Any spaceship or battleship would be equipped with an energy detection device. If there was an unreasonable energy or an energy that exceeded the standard, the detection device would alert him. Trying to make a fuss about energy, such a method could be said to be the stupidest. Of course, there was nothing wrong with confirming the specific situation of the energy source. It was always better to be cautious, especially now that Yi Zichen was out in the open. He was sure that there were plenty of people and organizations that wanted to take action against him. Actually, Yi Zichen had envisioned this. His journey to the ancestral dragon tribe wouldn't be particularly peaceful. Training was one of the reasons, but there might be other humans with ill intentions who might attack him. This was definitely the best time for them to strike. Yi Zichen left the Milky Way with only 2 dukes. If they didn't act now, they'd wait until Yi Zichen returned to the Milky Way galaxy. That place was guarded by several supremacies, led by venerable Spirit Phoenix. It would be very difficult to make a move again. Great God, we're going to the ancestral dragon clan now, right? Meng Luo puffed up her cheeks, her eyes filled with anticipation as she asked. Yeah, great. This boring journey was finally coming to an end. You're really looking forward to going to the ancestral dragon clan. Yi Zichen reached out his hand and rubbed her head. Yeah, Meng Luo nodded with a smile. When the time comes, we will also be able to see the mountain. I will. Shan made it clear that he was invited to the ancestral dragon clan. With his strength, he was no longer a guard. As a guide and trial taker, it was inevitable that they would meet. He just didn't know if they would be friends or foes when the time came. Yi Zichen guessed that once they reached the ancestral dragon clan, they'd probably be competitors. That simple and honest artifact race member, Mountain, her impression of him was actually quite good. If possible, it would be best if everyone could still be friends. If it was an enemy, Meng Luo, that little girl would definitely feel very sad. The Tool Clan's mountain was actually a very big threat to them. The human-shaped self-destruct device was not just for show. He was going to self-destruct. It would be very difficult for someone of the same level to resist, but Yi Zichen didn't think he'd do anything to them. All right, if you want to rest, rest. If you want to cultivate, continue cultivating. Just wait until we reach the ancestral dragon clan. I'm going to the second universe to upgrade my genes as well. If the great deity is going to the second universe, then I'll go too. Meng Luo excitedly found a place to lie down, then entered the virtual network. Hua Jinro, the flame rat, and Baiyu also entered. Big Sister Luer, are you coming? Yi Zichen asked before entering the virtual network. No, Yang Jian and the others invited me earlier, but I don't think it's particularly suitable for me. Her refusal. Yi Zichen wasn't all that surprised. There were indeed people like that. For example, Emperor Hades was one of them. He wasn't particularly interested in the second universe. Compared to the second universe, the first universe seemed more suitable for him. Then I'm going. If anything unexpected happens, Bailey can notify me. No problem. Winnie, Aelin, I'll leave the warship to you. Thank you for your hard work. That's what we should do. Yi Zichen entered the second universe. Yi Zichen was still in the city lord's manor. It had been a long time since he'd last cultivated. All he did was go to instance dungeons to kill vicious beasts and obtain cosmic power. To tell the truth, compared to the first universe, where he could only rely on a single, illusory method to improve, he preferred the simplicity and directness of the second universe. As long as you killed vicious beasts, you would receive rewards. Hard work would definitely be rewarded. This was probably why so many members of the first universe liked the second universe. Many humans had stagnated in strength in the first universe, but here they saw hope. According to the data released by the Virtual World Corporation, the number of humans in the first universe who entered the second universe already amounted to 90% of the entire human race. The average number of people online was about 60%. Even so, the second universe didn't feel all that crowded. From this, it was clear that the second universe could indeed provide the first universe with enough land for humans to live in after the fusion. Most importantly, the dire beasts here could also provide God's bestowed weapons and armor, which indirectly reduced the requirement of equipment forging. It wasn't like the first universe. Not even cosmic system level cultivators had a single piece of interstellar equipment. Most of them used low-level weapons or armor. Weapons and armor were produced. To some extent, this eased the first universe's demand for equipment. The only one affected was the Artifact Alliance. The Artifact Alliance was famous for its equipment. The second universe's massive production of divine equipment naturally affected the Artifact Alliance's production. However, the second universe's weapons benefited the entire universe, so even if the Artifact Alliance was resentful, they couldn't show it. On the contrary, it would affect their image in the eyes of the human race. However, none of this affected Yi Zichen in the slightest. The Upheaval Alliance's current growth was enough to make any human jealous. But so what? They couldn't deal with it. Yi Zichen stretched lazily, then glanced at the Upheaval Alliance's database. His lips curved into a smile. He opened the runestone system. Chapter 2688. Condense. In the City Lord's mansion, a thunderous roar resounded. The experts guarding outside were frightened by this angry shout. Soon, a dignified pressure was released from the city lord mansion. This pressure made the commander-level experts outside tremble. All of them involuntarily kneeled on the ground, their souls trembling incessantly. Fight with me. Seeing the successful embedding of the rune stone, Yi Zichen wiped the sweat off his forehead. It was still a breakthrough of the limit gene. Yi Zichen felt like his soul was about to be torn apart when he placed the last rune stone. Fortunately, he managed to endure it. His mind was immersed in his talisman stone aperture point. At the very beginning, Yi Zichen simply thought that the inserts were just acupuncture points, which radiated genetic energy outwards to increase his overall strength. The inlay of a talisman stone would light up an acupoint. When he fully embedded all the rune stones with his general level power, and with his limit breakthrough as the endpoint, he actually felt that these lit-up acupuncture points were like a star map. For some reason, he had this misconception. Moreover, he could see that he was only at a small corner of this star chart. Strange. Yi Zichen scratched his head and didn't pay too much attention to it, then looked towards Bailey. What do you think? How long did it take me? It took 1.5 months for your last rune stone to absorb and fuse with it. In total, it took 3 months and 12 days. Bailey answered. Extreme fusion does indeed require a lot of time. Yi Zichen rubbed his nose and moved his arms. Even though he still had the strength of a general, after the runestone system was fully embedded, he felt that he had a qualitative improvement. Whether it was his perception, the efficiency of his absorption of cosmic energy, or the circulation of his body, they had all improved by leaps and bounds. He even suspected that even a peak marquis wouldn't be able to defeat him. Furthermore, it was under the condition of a genetic breakthrough. Even he had the strength to fight. This idea was too scary. One shouldn't be too arrogant. One battle. Crush them, okay? Yi Zichen stretched lazily. Sitting for so long caused his bones to crackle like popcorn. The kind of bone-cracking sound that made one's teeth ache. Just listening to it was a kind of pleasure. The Ancestral Dragon clan should be arriving soon. Yi Zichen could finally let go of everything after he finished fusing with the rune stones. This was the biggest improvement he could do before he reached the Ancestral Dragon clan. Raiding dungeons and killing berserk beasts were too little for him. With his current realm, even if he were to grind in dungeons for several years without rest, he might not be able to make much progress. At most, he would only be able to reach a few levels. Such a minuscule increase in strength was not as practical as a genetic breakthrough. How can it be that fast? Bailey rolled his eyes. But if you insist on saying that it's fast, it's indeed fast. We've indeed walked more than half the distance. Nothing unexpected happened during this period. If I did, would you still be sitting here so calmly? You're right. For some reason, Yi Zichen let out a sigh in frustration. Seeing his expression, Bailey could not help but frown. What are you doing? Don't tell me you're hoping that something will go wrong. You should be more normal. Don't always think about those useless things. Isn't it good to reach the Ancestral Dragon clan safely? It's not that it's bad, it's just too strange. Yi Zichen walked out of the city lord's manor and saw the commanders kneeling on the ground. Most likely, it was the aura he'd released when he fused with the rune stones. All of you rise. Yes, city lord. The commanders climbed to their feet one after another, then looked at Yi Zichen with fear in their eyes. Earlier, there were rumors that the Upheaval Alliance's leader wasn't strong enough to be a commander. Based on the aura he'd released just now, he was at least a marquis-level expert. Go back to your work. I don't need anyone to stand guard here. You're all at least commanders. You're all the talents the Upheaval Alliance needs. Go find Chicano and ask for another position. If he asks, just tell him I told him to. People like you shouldn't waste your time with me. He gently waved his hand to the commanders, and they all nodded and slowly left the city lord's mansion. Yi Zichen watched them leave, then sat down at the stone table. Bailey, do you think there are bound to be quite a few people in the universe who want to kill me? Of course. Bailey nodded matter-of-factly. Setting aside your status as a Milky Way lord, anyone with your level of authority would run into plenty of assassination attempts. That's right. Now, that was reasonable. In the human universe, You didn't necessarily have to provoke others for them to kill you. Sometimes, you didn't offend anyone. They come to kill you anyway. Yi Zichen was a Milky Way lord, and he had the 5 elements elemental spirits and a time elemental spirit. Furthermore, he was of the Milky Way bloodline. It made sense for him to run into assassination attempts every day. Why didn't anyone come? They looked down on him. Bailey, tell me, isn't our journey a bit too safe? It's a bit too safe. Yi Zichen knit his brows. Aside from that trial, nothing unexpected happened. I don't think it makes sense. That's true, but isn't safety good? Not good. Yi Zichen shook his head, his gaze grave. It's normal for disasters to happen one after another, and it's the same for assassinations. I refuse to believe they'll hold back and not attack me. They won't attack me, but I'm scared. I'm scared they'll touch my family. Also, there's another possibility. They might be holding back for a big one. A big one? Bailey frowned. You're overthinking things. It's possible they're worried about the people on the warship. You're not wrong. Meng Luo and the others had high statuses. Perhaps the people who tried to assassinate Yi Zichen were afraid of harming them, so they'd held back. But what about before this? Why didn't they attack? Wasn't that strange? Don't think too much about it. It's best if we can safely reach the ancestral dragon clan. Bailey was relieved. I know, but I'm still worried. I've been nervous the entire way. I'd rather they hurry up and come out now. No matter how dire the situation is, they should at least give me some peace of mind. It's been especially safe like this. I'm not used to it. At that moment, a star-level guard rushed into the city lord's manor. Your Excellency, what is it? Mr. Chicano requests your presence. He says he has something important to discuss with you in person. Something important? Thump. Yi Zichen's heart skipped a beat. It can't be related to the Milky Way, right? Chapter 2689. The guards were still waiting outside. Yi Zichen instinctively glanced at the virtual network. Inshang hadn't contacted him yet. All right, I got it. As he watched the guards leave, Yi Zichen furrowed his brows. He got here so quickly, you really know how to make wild guesses. If something really happened to the Milky Way, do you think Inshang wouldn't contact you? Bei Li's reply sounded disdainful. If the Milky Way is destroyed, then our race will be wiped out. You really are a competent Milky Way lord. I can't believe you could even think of something like that. Ha ha ha. It's not impossible. Yi Zichen rubbed his nose. The chances of the Milky Way being wiped out were actually pretty low. They had the Spirit Phoenix and so many other experts. If they were still wiped out, word would definitely spread, and there would be countless of them. Chicano shouldn't be the only one looking for him. He was in charge of the second universe. Most likely, it was a major matter regarding the Upheaval Alliance, and he needed to discuss it with Yi Zichen. But Yi Zichen had already given him a lot of authority. Even if it was a trade, he had full authority over it. Why would he need to discuss something with him? Let's go take a look. The Upheaval Alliance's headquarters. It was a towering sci-fi skyscraper that stood at the very center of the planet. As soon as Yi Zichen received the news, he took a flying ship over. Alliance head, Lord Chicano is waiting for you upstairs. Take me there. It was a sci-fi skyscraper. Inside, it couldn't even be described as an elevator. Everything here was powered by the new energy of the universe. It took less than 3 seconds to go from the ground floor to 10,000 meters in the air. When Yi Zichen arrived, Chicano was standing in the middle of the enormous office. From his expression, it was obvious he was consoling someone. Meng Tai. Yi Zichen couldn't immediately determine who was sitting on the sofa. Alliance head. When he saw Yi Zichen, Chicano hurried over to greet him. Why are you in such a hurry to find me? Yi Zichen tilted his head and saw a middle-aged man sitting on the sofa in the office with his hands over his head. This, little brother Yi, it's me. The man slowly looked up. When Yi Zichen saw his face clearly, old brother Tianhai. No matter what, Yi Zichen would never believe that the person who sat on the sofa with a dejected aura was actually the Tianhai he knew, a man with the strength of a venerable in the first universe. Huh. Tianhai laughed without much emotion. I really can't take on an older brother like you. You're a galactic lord. Brother, what are you talking about? Yi Zichen quickly shook his head with concern in his eyes. What's wrong with you? My life star is gone. Tianhai's eyes were red, and it seemed like tears were welling up in his eyes. What? Yi Zichen stood rooted to the spot. Life star? Gone. No, old bro. What did you mean by that? It's gone, it's been destroyed? Yi Zichen was in disbelief. No, it's about the same. No, speak slowly. It's like this. According to Tianhai's description, the star system he was in charge of had been invaded by other star systems. In order to protect the galaxy, he had given up a large number of outer life stars, leaving only a few main life stars. 10 years ago, the war came to an end. The invaders retreated from the star system. Even so, Tianhai did not let down his guard. He still had his life, star patrolled, and guarded with the utmost vigilance. However, he never would have thought that his people would suddenly betray him. His 6th Madam and 9th Madam joined forces with their families and joined the star system that had invaded his life star. They even took away all of Tianhai's defensive strategies. Then, the star system was fatally attacked. It wasn't just the star system that had invaded his star system, but the surrounding star systems that were once his allies all launched an all-out attack against him. Tianhai led his subordinates and defended for 5 whole years. In the end, they couldn't continue to shrink until only one life star remained. The war ended just like that. It was another round of betrayal. It was still his wife and her clansmen. But this time, it wasn't just women who betrayed him. His subordinates as well. High-intensity wars were a form of torture to anyone. No one could resist it. It had been a war that lasted for more than 10 years, and they couldn't see any hope of Tianhai winning. More and more people gave up resisting. From Tianhai's persuasion at the beginning, to his ruthless methods of killing anyone who tried to leave, and finally, he seemed to have given up and ordered his subordinates to retreat. He was even prepared to give up on his 10,000 years of work. Yet, those people's goal wasn't the life star, but Tianhai himself. The person they wanted to capture was Tianhai. To capture him, a total of 6 country lords and 1 sovereign were sent. Why are they capturing you? Are you a mortal enemy? Yi Zichen was stunned. I think they're here for the elemental fairy. Elemental fairy? Yes, I have an elemental spirit. Tianhai raised his hand. An cute ceramic doll appeared in his palm. She's a light elemental sprite. I obtained her 10,000 years ago. In order to save me, she self-destructed her origin power. Right now, she has less than 30% of her origin power left, and her maturity has already regressed to a young age. Then, you came to find me. Shouldn't you be looking for a safe place? You can go to my Milky Way galaxy. I can guarantee your safety. Yi Zichen said. No, I can't leave. Tianhai shook his head. Jingling, she's still on that life star. She heard I was in danger and brought 300,000 clansmen with her. I came out. She's still inside. Tianhai suddenly shot to his feet, his eyes brimming with anxiety. Jingling's still on that life star. I have to go save her. Little brother Yi, Lord of the Milky Way, I need your help. You're the only one in the universe who can help me. You? How do you want me to help? I need 1,000,000 battleships and 20,000 battleships, 500,000 G-grade laser cannons, and 100,000 cosmic energy cannons. I know the Upheaval Alliance has it all. I can give you all my savings, little brother Yi. I beg of you, lend it to me. Yi Zichen looked up at Chicano. No wonder he was in such a hurry to discuss the matter with Yi Zichen. He didn't dare give away such equipment. Chicano, do we have it? Tell me the truth. We do. All right. Yi Zichen took a deep breath. Is it enough? Is this enough? Yes. Tell me the truth, too. Is this really enough? This. Tianhai hesitated. Yi Zichen nodded. I understand. Chicano, give him double the amount. Also, give him 1,000,000 G-grade battle armor and weapons we've developed. Lord, that's all we have. Here. Yi Zichen narrowed his eyes. Give it to him. Chapter 2690. Lord Yi. Tianhai's eyes were filled with excitement. He had sought out many people, all the good friends he had made in the universe, all the juniors he had helped. When he went to find them, there was no exception. None of them agreed to his request, or even directly gave him some monetary help. What he didn't know was that the money was useless to him. For some reason, The families that did the war business all refused to do business with him, as if they were under someone's orders. He had no choice but to try his luck with Yi Zichen. This is what I should do, Yi Zichen smiled. Yi Zichen's eyes flashed with amusement. Actually, you knew who I was a long time ago, right? Even before I revealed my identity as a Milky Way Lord. How? How did you know? Tianhai was shocked. It wasn't me. Bailey found out. Yi Zichen pursed his lips with a smile. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled. Even before I announced myself as a Milky Way Lord, Bailey said there were experts following us in secret. I thought it was an enemy, but then I noticed that he seemed to be protecting me in secret. Then I took over the Milky Way galaxy. I investigated. He was a peak king from a forest called the Sacred Region. I investigated a bit more and found out that the Sacred Region is the God region. Also, I seem to have shed golden blood. Gold is the symbol of divine blood. At that time, it seemed like you were the one who helped me hide it and use your power to suppress this matter. Correct? Tianhai looked at Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a smile. Yi Zichen, will always repay kindness. Yi Zi. Tears welled up in Tianhai's eyes. Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. Save sister-in-law. If you have nowhere else to go, then come to the Milky Way galaxy. Okay. Tianhai nodded. As a sovereign-level expert, if he was willing to side with someone, then many families would be willing to accept him. Or rather, they would fight to accept him. Even though he might have some powerful enemies behind him, there were still plenty of people who would accept him. For example, the 8 heads. For example, a large family like the Bai family. The reason Tianhai didn't seek out a force like that was because he didn't want to become their subordinate. No matter what, he was someone who had founded the Sacred Region. At the peak of the saint level, he was comparable to a first-rate clan. Even if those families respected him, it would still be very hard for him to accept such a drop in status for someone like him to put down his status and become a subordinate of another family. Yi Zichen, his sincerity moved Tianhai somewhat. Sometimes, only by comparing the results would one be able to recognize the good and bad of a person. The friend he had known for 10,000 years was unwilling to interfere. The younger generation, who was supporting him, did nothing. Only Yi Zichen, whom she'd only known for a dozen years and whom she'd only known for half a year, was willing to give everything he had to support her. This feeling, Tianhai couldn't help but be moved. Do you have enough people? If it's not enough, I can send someone from the Milky Way galaxy to you. It might be slower, but they can reach you in a year. Can I? Tianhai hesitated. He knew that Yi Zichen had already helped him enough, but he also knew how many people were watching her from the jingling spirit realm. Relying on his remaining brothers, he might not be able to save her. Why not? Wait for me. Yi Zichen smiled, then contacted Sovereign Spirit Phoenix in the virtual network. Big sis. Not long later, a projection appeared in front of Yi Zichen. You're at the Ancestral Dragon Clan? Sovereign Spirit Phoenix's projection seemed rather chaotic, and she would occasionally point her finger behind her as a warning. Even more so, behave yourselves. Yi Zichen saw Sovereign Spirit Phoenix stomp down with her right foot, causing the entire life planet to seem like it was about to split open, and a huge abyss appeared. What is it? Continue? Sovereign Spirit Phoenix turned around and glanced at Yi Zichen. Oh, isn't this Tianhai? I heard your life planet was destroyed. Are you interested in coming to our Milky Way galaxy? I'm currently reorganizing the 9 great prisons. The Milky Way galaxy's future is pretty good. You're the spiritual phoenix in charge of the space of destruction. Tianhai raised his eyebrows. Sovereign Spirit Phoenix shrugged. Venerable Spirit Phoenix shrugged. Otherwise, will my little sister be as irritable as me? Why are you with my idiotic little brother? Big sis Spirit Phoenix, it's like this. Yi Zichen told her about Tianhai. Oh, I understand. Sending troops is fine. The Milky Way galaxy's defenses are pretty good, but Tianhai, are you coming to the Milky Way galaxy? I already promised Lord Yi to join the Milky Way galaxy. Tianhai replied. Then that's easy. Send 20 million warrior-level elite soldiers, 2 sovereigns, and 10 lords. Is that enough? If not, I have 4 million more prisoners. I'll go to your place first on my way back. Yes, yes, yes. Tianhai nodded. All right, Yi, tell Yin Shang to send people. Also, spread the news that I'm going as well. I'll send it to my virtual network account later, Sovereign Spirit Phoenix replied. The Venerable Spirit Phoenix replied. Then, for some unknown reason, she suddenly turned her head. Do you all want to die? The projection ended. It seemed like Sovereign Spirit Phoenix had already gone to deal with the prisoners of the 9 great prisons. Big bro, wait for me. Yi Zichen definitely wasn't joking. With the data Sovereign Spirit Phoenix provided, he immediately contacted Yin Shang. Yin Shang, send 20 million elite soldiers from a sacred region, cosmic nation, to the coordinates of the universe. The weakest must be of the warrior level. 2 sovereigns and 10 lords will lead the troops and set off immediately. Announced to the outside world, the Milky Way galaxy has officially formed an alliance with the sacred region. Also, send out the news of our troop deployment. Tell everyone that anyone who continues to invade the sacred region cosmic nation is the Milky Way galaxy's enemy, and the Milky Way galaxy will attack them. Also, Sovereign Spirit Phoenix will personally head to the sacred region. Tell those people to behave themselves. Approximately half a minute later, Yin Shang's message came back. They're going to fight? There were also several shocked emojis behind the message. Not really. I'm just helping a friend of mine take back something that belongs to him, Yi Zichen replied with a smile. Of course, it can also be interpreted as declaring war. Star-Lord, now we. Don't worry, I already asked Big Sis Spirit Phoenix. She also supports this war. Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. Just treat it as our Milky Way galaxy setting an example for the upcoming war. Remember, they must be the elites. They must be the most outstanding in any realm. This isn't just a campaign. This is also the first time we announce the power of the Milky Way galaxy to the outside world. Chapter 2691. Chicano had already begun his deployment. Hundreds of thousands of spaceships, battleships, millions of weapons and armors. It could be said to be a very large allocation of resources. Tianhai had already gone with them. Yi Zichen sat on the sofa in the office and spaced out as he looked at the various high-tech products. They're going to fight. Bailey, who sat on Yi Zichen's shoulder, said softly. Yeah. Yi Zichen muttered as well. In his heart, he felt an indescribable excitement. 10 years. The galaxy took 10 years to recuperate. It developed at lightning speed. Finally, in the 10th year of the 10th year, the Milky Way galaxy moved. I just don't know if this is good or bad. Bailey's tone was not optimistic. Don't you guys have an old saying? The bird that pokes its head out gets shot. I just checked the situation of the Sacred Universe country. All the signs point to the mastermind behind this. Sanyue Galaxy, right? Yi Zichen smiled. Yes. Bailey wasn't surprised at all that Yi Zichen had pointed out that Sanyue Galaxy. They had done a lot of research on the situation in the Sacred Region. At that time, even though they were investigating the identity of the people who had been following them, they did not pursue the details of the war. However, Yi Zichen had done some private research, so it wasn't strange that he'd thought of Sangyu. We're going to attack the Archean Moon Galaxy. Yi Zichen's expression was filled with disdain. In any case, we're already prepared to fight to the death with the Sanyue Galaxy. What's there to be afraid of? Those who did not dare to lend a helping hand to the sanctuary. They were probably afraid of the Azure Moon Galaxy. However, the strength of our Milky Way galaxy simply can't be compared to the Sanyue Galaxy. Bailey replied, whether it is the level of our experts or our overall strength, we are far inferior to the Sanyue Galaxy. Don't worry, nothing will happen. The Azure Moon Galaxy can't move. Tianhai was a peak existence of the universe. They dared to invade his galaxy. It was inevitable that there was a powerful force behind this. During the invasion, the Sanyue Galaxy might have provided some assistance, but it definitely wasn't much, because the Virtual World Corporation would not sit idly by. In the eyes of the Sanyue system, the Milky Way needed to be destroyed. However, the real thorn in their flesh was the Virtual World Corporation. The two families were truly at loggerheads. Sanyue Galaxy dared to make a move. the Virtual World Corporation would definitely make a move. Currently, the strength of both sides could be considered to be roughly equal. If the Tsanyue galaxy provided too much assistance to the Holy Domain invasion, it would affect the strength of the Tsanyue galaxy itself. Then, the Virtual World Corporation might take advantage of the situation to invade. He would never do such a thing. Compared to the future of the entire Tsanyue galaxy, the life and death of the sacred region did not play a decisive role. Even if they knew it was the Milky Way galaxy sending troops, he did not dare to act rashly. What he could do was to let his subordinates and vassals rush to the rescue of the Sanctum invasion plan. However, the Venerable Spirit Phoenix announced that she would join the invasion of the sacred region. Venerable Spirit Phoenix. He was a pinnacle venerable who could suppress over a dozen overlords by himself. She had yet to break through to the overlord realm. If she could become an overlord, she might even be able to put up a fight against an utmost being, with this person personally participating in the battle. If there were too few hegemons, they would all be wiped out. If there were too many, it would shake the balance between the Tsanyue galaxy and the Virtual World Corporation. Then, the only decision Star Lord Tsanyue could make was to stop, give up on the invasion of the sacred region. Of course, this was only the best-case scenario. Star-Lord Tsanyue might really go all out and start a war. That was not impossible. However, the chances of that happening were low. Thus, the Venerable Spirit Phoenix decided to send troops. She most likely had the same thoughts as Yi Zichen. Or rather, she felt like she no longer needed to be afraid. There was news a while ago. The Venerable Spirit Phoenix controlled the 9 great prisons. The experts in the 9 great prisons were all at the titled level. The 9 great prisons accounted for about 10% of the human race's total population. 10%. That was quite a lot, considering that there were 8 major powers in the human race and the various clans and clans. The 9 great prisons only had 10%. That was already quite impressive. Even a Virtual World Corporation and the Tsanyue galaxy, they only had about 20%. The other major powers only had 10%. And some didn't even have 10%, as long as the Milky Way could use all of the 9 great prisons. The Milky Way. That way, they could go from a galaxy with no actual strength to a first-rate power in the universe. Compared to the other major powers, they were lacking in foundation, technology, and civilization. Even the Milky Way was doing its utmost to catch up. Think about it. The Milky Way was already at this level in 10 years. What would it be like in another 10 or 20 years? What's more, the Milky Way really did need to fight a war. There were too many powers in the universe that coveted the Milky Way. If the Milky Way didn't act, everyone would think that the Milky Way was weak. Only by fighting. Let those people see what the Milky Way was like. Only then would they be afraid and gain more time for the Milky Way to develop. Otherwise, why would Earth always have actual combat drills? The creation of new war machines or destructive war preparations had to be announced to the public. This was a way to announce one's strength. It was also a psychological game. When they see the weapons you have, they will weigh in their hearts what kind of price they will have to pay if they insist on making a move. Is it a price they are willing to accept? Everyone had a standard in their heart, and everyone liked to pinch the soft persimmon. As long as the Milky Way fought this war perfectly, then they could get rid of the title of weakling that was at the mercy of others. What's more, announcing one's strength was also a signal to the outside world, allowing others to judge one's strength and form an alliance or a vassal. Right now, the Milky Way had too few allies. Meng Luo and Hua Jinro did form an alliance with Yi Zichen's Milky Way, but Planet Een was too far away from the Milky Way. It would take too long to send reinforcements. The Milky Way also needed to make some allies around it. For example, the Beneo galaxy, an ally right at the doorstep. If the Milky Way was truly attacked, an ally could help in the shortest amount of time possible. That was why there was a need to fight this war. What's more, they would be able to get Tian Hai to join them. What else wasn't worth it? A sovereign. No matter how much it cost, it was worth it to get another sovereign to join their galaxy. All right, you're the Lord, you decide. I'm just a photon computer. All I can do is analyze the data with you. Bailey didn't say anything else and took a look at the virtual network. The Milky Way made an announcement. Chapter 2692. It was a natural hot spring. The hot spring was surrounded by green plants and towering mountains. The lingering steam caused the world here to turn white. On the smooth cobblestone at the edge of the spring, a man with a bare chest was leaning against it. One could see that the man had good skin, but on the left side of his chest, there was a ferocious knife scar, which looked very frightening. He was lying motionlessly on his back, his face covered with a sweaty cloth. The whole hot spring was very quiet. Occasionally, the sound of crickets could be heard. Just then, a series of slightly hurried footsteps came from outside the hot spring. Don't move. Before the person came in, he received a voice transmission in his mind. The person hurriedly stopped. He looked at the man in the hot spring, puzzled. Half an hour passed. The man, who seemed to be one with the hot spring, suddenly pulled his hand out of the water and covered the cobblestone. Look! As if showing off, the man used his hand to hold the cricket's back right leg. The cricket struggled to break free from the man's hand, but it couldn't break free. I've been fighting with it for a few days. This guy is very agile. As long as I move it, it will run. Maybe it doesn't want to leave this paradise. It will come back soon. With a light snap of his fingers, a dimensional space of about 1 cubic meter appeared in the space in front of the man. The man reached out and threw the cricket inside. Regaining its freedom, the cricket jumped excitedly. But soon it realized that it was locked in a sealed space. It tried its best to get out, jumping around in panic inside the room. After watching for a while, the man walked out of the hot spring, put on a bathrobe, and hooked his finger, holding the dimensional space and placing it on the table in front of his rattan chair. Come in. The person outside the hot spring walked in. It was a very capable young woman with a head of black short hair and long eyelashes. From head to toe, she didn't wear any accessories, wearing black work clothes. Star-Lord, have you been playing with this cricket for the past few days? Can I? The man shrugged. Don't underestimate it. It's a cosmic system state, even if it stays here every day. It's just strange that it didn't transform into a human or a demon. The so-called primitive creatures on Earth are really strange. All right, I didn't use any cosmic force to catch it just now. How is it? It's amazing, right? If it were you, you wouldn't be able to do it. I won't do such meaningless things. The capable woman replied coldly. Boring. He looked at the woman for a long time, but the other party still maintained the same expression, without the slightest change. The man seemed to have lost interest in her. He lay on the rattan chair and covered his eyes with the sweaty cloth. He moved his fingers back and forth. Your expression is too serious. I don't like it. Even if you're Lucy's pupil and have some resemblance to her in character, but at least she still makes a few sarcastic remarks about me, and you learn her coldness. That's a sad thing to say. The man had been using a frivolous tone the entire time, and the scar on his face under the sweatcloth wriggled slowly. What'd you come back for? If you're not interesting, I'm going to punish you for smiling at me. To such frivolous words. The capable woman was still expressionless as she reported to the man in a methodical manner. The Milky Way has just made a universal announcement. What did they say? The Milky Way has announced an alliance with the Sacred Universe country. They will send troops to assist the Sacred Universe in reclaiming their territory. Let me see. The man sat up from the rattan chair and placed the sweaty cloth on the table next to the chair. The capable woman took out the energy crystals. It broadcasted Inshang's announcement of the alliance, as well as the details of the troops being sent. Content released. The Virtual World Corporation immediately promoted it on the virtual network. Right now, 60% of humanity in the entire universe has seen this news. The capable woman replied according to the information they had gathered. 2 sovereigns, 10 country lords, and 10 million elite soldiers. The man looked at the content and nodded. Why would Sky C be related to the Milky Way? According to our investigation, Sky C met the Milky Way lords in the second universe. They aren't close. Not close. The man laughed, the scars on his face wriggling violently. I say, Cute little sister Cece, even the Milky Way Lord have sent troops, spending tens of millions just to reclaim the sacred universe's territory. This isn't something that can be done by someone who isn't close. According to our investigation, they've been in contact for less than half a year. Data is sometimes useless. The man sighed, his eyes filled with helplessness. You're still not good at your studies. You're still lacking compared to your teacher, Lucy. If it was her, she wouldn't be talking about meaningless data. I'll continue to study. Even though she was being criticized, the capable woman's expression didn't change at all. Like an emotionless robot, everything she did was very rigid. The man rubbed his head, shrugged and sighed. Forget it, I won't scold you anymore. You're Lucy's student. When she returns, I'll get her to guide you. Star-Lord, what should we do? Cece asked. Has Sky Sea been caught? No. Naturally, the light elemental fairy hasn't been caught. I've reported it to you before. Cece continued to sort out the problem. Universe calendar. All right, The man was really about to be defeated by Cece. He hurriedly waved his hand. Elemental self-destruction. I remember. Yes. Elemental self-destruction means that Sky Sea's light elemental fairy has no meaning. The man rubbed his nose. We don't have to care about Sky Sea anymore. Retreat. Stay there. The man replied. Milky Way galaxy has endured for 10 years. This time, they want to use this battle to establish their might. We can't let them progress too smoothly. Inform Golem to deploy a few people around the Sacred Universe countries to increase the number of invading Sacred Universe countries. Then, send 4 knights and 20 country leaders. Spirit Phoenix announced that she'll be going too. Cece replied. Why didn't you say so earlier? Aren't you just making things difficult for me? I've already said it. The man pretended to grumble. Cancel the deployment of knights and country leaders. Start increasing the number of people below Emperor level. All right. Last time you told me that the Milky Way Galaxy Lord's route would lead to Khanna's space station, right? Yes. Now that he's left, do you have the exact coordinates? Yes. Cece lightly tapped the air with her finger. In the air above the hot spring, a huge square universe space map of about 50 cubic meters appeared. The man looked at it for a while. Interesting. Contact the Ancestral Dragon Clan for me. Tell them I have a small suggestion for their training. I hope they can accept it. Chapter 2693. Hey, sorry to trouble you. Why don't I see your Judge Zhuing? All right. I won't ask too much about your matters. Just think about it. I struggle with this decision. It's to test the abilities of the younger generation. The future of the human race is in the hands of these youngsters. When they grow up, we can explore the wider universe. All right, that's all. Do what you need to do. If they hadn't seen it for themselves, who would have thought that the person who was flattering them was the Star-Lord of the Sanyue Galaxy, one of the supreme beings of the human race? Seeing the projection disappear from the hot spring, Star-Lord Sanyue smiled and put the cloth over her shoulder. Seriously? Looks like there's a problem with Zhuing. Now that the Ancestral Dragon Clan is in control of the whole situation, this is a headache. Star-Lord Sanyue grabbed her long blue hair. Her expression was like that of a boy next door. All right, thank you, Cece. Ever since my relationship with the Virtual World Corporation became strained, I don't even dare to go on the virtual network anymore. It's my responsibility to serve the Star-Lord. Cece was still as serious as ever. Star-Lord Sanyue took a deep breath, lifted her chest, and exhaled. You really won. I'm afraid that's why Lucy recommended you to stay here with my main body because of this. The capable woman, Cece, remained silent. She stood 10 meters away from Star-Lord Sanyue, maintaining an upright posture. Do you know how to smile? Star-Lord, do you have any other instructions? If not, I'll go and deal with other matters. Cece replied without a smile. I need to wait for the Ancestral Dragon Clan's reply. I can report to you after he replies. If I keep staying here, it will affect my work efficiency. Work will pile up, and this will be my negligence. Cece replied. Then I'm really sorry. Go and do your work. May the Star-Lord's martial arts prosper. Cece bowed solemnly before leaving on foot. Just how formulaic could she be? Even when she was leaving, She maintained an extremely precise distance with every step she took. Sanyue saw. There was no deviation. How could Lucy leave behind such a deity? I'm the original body, after all. Does she have to torture me like this? Star-Lord Sanyue sat dejectedly on the wrought-tan chair. He then reached out and grabbed the cricket sealed in the dimensional space. Little cricket, tell me, how did your Earth come into being? How could there be such a beautiful planet? I'm falling in love with this place. This period of time. Your Milky Way galaxy is really making a big move. The Spirit Rabbit clan, which is comparable to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, has formed an alliance with your Milky Way galaxy. The Flower clan has also formed an alliance with the Milky Way galaxy. That fire god fellow has broken through to the paramount being level. To my Archmoon galaxy, there isn't a single good thing. Star Master Tsungyue muttered to the sealed cricket in her hand. If Yizichin were here, he'd definitely break out in a cold sweat at Star Lord Sanyue's words. He was on Earth. To tell the truth, I'm really curious about your Earth. I really want to break it down and see its origins, Star Master Tsungyue shrugged. Deep Moon, Star Lord shrugged. The Milky Way Overlord is a junior. As the dignified Deep Moon Star Lord, I can't bully the weak. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't want his path to be too smooth. Life is always full of twists and turns. How about I capture his son, Star Master Tsungyue said with a grin. Star-Lord Deep Moon grinned. I heard that his son is taking over the Milky Way galaxy. If I capture his son now, will he be furious and fight me with the Milky Way galaxy's capital? I'll just take advantage of the situation and get rid of this thorn in my side. What do you think? It wasn't clear if the cricket understood Star Master Tsunyue's words or not, but it hopped around in a space of less than a cubic meter. For an ordinary cricket, 1 cubic meter was actually more than enough, but for a nebula-level cricket, it was too small. Every time it hopped around, it would hit the edge of space. Then, it landed heavily at the bottom. Never mind, let's not do it. If I do this, Lucy will definitely mock me. Besides, that woman, Wenli, won't let me do this. Star Master Tsungyue shrugged and brought the cricket closer. Do you really want to come out? Unfortunately, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not living up to expectations. Blame yourself for being too greedy. You could have run away, but you stayed here. You didn't hide well, and I caught you. As long as I seal you in this space, you won't be able to get out. Now, your life is in my hands. I just pressed lightly. In an instant, the dimensional space shrank violently, becoming only about a quarter of its original size. Pressed again, the space shrank again, becoming a quarter of its original size. After a few times, the cricket had no more space to move. The size of the dimensional space could only accommodate it lying there. Why didn't you leave? I gave you a total of 3 chances, but you didn't take them. What's your purpose in doing this? If you were alive, you could return to Earth and become the protector god of your cricket clan. Yet you didn't do that and still provoke me around me. You think that because you brought me to this place, I can't bear to kill you? You should know, for you, I crushed your whole nest to death. You still dare stare at me. Sorry, I'm really not interested in you anymore. With a light press of her finger, the dimensional space in front of Star Master Sanyue disappeared. Yet the cricket within was perfectly fine. Its corpse was lying on the chair. On account of the fact that you once led me to this blessed land, I'll leave your corpse intact and prepare a grand funeral for you. Let all the strong crickets participate. Carefully placing the cricket, at this time, rhythmic footsteps resounded from outside the hot spring. Come in. Star Master, the ancestral dragon clan, sent news. They said they can accept your suggestion, but they need the Universe Mercenary Alliance to be their opponent. Accept. Star Master Tsingyue's gaze turned cold. Wearing a bathrobe, she twisted her neck and pointed at the cricket on the table. Preserve it well. After a while, I'll hold a funeral for it. Yes. Cece didn't question Tsungyue's strange order, carefully using universe energy to wrap the cricket's corpse. Walking out of the hot spring, Star Master Tsungyue lazily stretched her back. Looks like there's good news. I'm really looking forward to the day of your funeral. I believe the sky will be as beautiful as this. Earth is really a good place. Chapter 2694. The Milky Way Galaxy. Ever since the Milky Way Galaxy's destruction and the Milky Way Master's whereabouts were unknown, the term Milky Way Galaxy was no longer a sacred place among the human race. It was no longer a symbol of the strongest galaxy. Most of the time, it was a topic of conversation among the humans during their leisure time. They sighed over the Milky Way Galaxy's former glory. The passage of time. It made the Milky Way Galaxy fainter and fainter in the human race's memories. The rise of the Azure Moon Galaxy drew more attention to it. Yet in the past decade or so, the seemingly forgotten Milky Way Galaxy was brought up once more. First, the Society of Supremes, through the Virtual World Corporation, issued a bounty for the Milky Way Galaxy. Then, the bounty was mysteriously canceled, and the Milky Way Galaxy was proven innocent. Then, the Virtual World Corporation suddenly announced to the public that the Milky Way Galaxy had reincarnated. The Virtual World Corporation and the Universal Union Bank submitted an alliance with the Milky Way Galaxy at the same time. The destroyed Milky Way Galaxy would remain in the human race's universe, and the reincarnated Milky Way Galaxy would once again enter the human race's sights. People began to pay attention to the Milky Way Galaxy. Or rather, they paid more attention to Yi Zichen, the fake reincarnated Milky Way Galaxy. They all waited to see if the Milky Way Galaxy would make any big moves. Because everyone knew that the destruction of the Milky Way Galaxy was a deliberate plot by the human race. It was very likely that news of the betrayal of the human race would be revealed. Back then, the Milky Way Galaxy was so domineering and glorious. The reincarnated Milky Way Galaxy possessed the memories of his past life. Would he break through to become a supreme expert in less than 10,000 years? Would he, who controlled the Milky Way Galaxy, seek revenge? Everyone was waiting. To their surprise, after Yi Zichen inherited the Milky Way Galaxy, it didn't send out any news at all. It was like fireworks, dazzling for only half a year before everything returned to normal. Even though some people knew that the Milky Way Galaxy was developing. It purchased all sorts of equipment, war equipment, life planets, slave planets, and took in billions of humans. But in the eyes of the human race, all of this was too small. It was too small. The Milky Way Galaxy. Everything he did shook the universe. News like this might be a big deal to other families, but to the Milky Way Galaxy, it really wasn't much. They were still waiting until a few months ago. Among Planet Yin's 4 juggernauts, the Spirit Rabbit lineage announced their alliance with the Milky Way. On the same day, the 4 juggernauts announced their alliance with the Milky Way. The Bai clan of the Fire God announced that the Lord Fire God had broken through to become a supreme being. His eldest daughter, Bai Yu, would be engaged to the Milky Way Lord Yi Zichen in the future. On the same day, news broke out that shook the universe. The universe's human race who learned of this news began to feel that it was a bit like something done by the Milky Way Master. But that wasn't enough. Just a moment ago, the Milky Way Galaxy made an official announcement to the entire universe on the Virtual World Group. The Milky Way officially formed an alliance with the Sanctuary. Today, they would send out 20 million troops, led by 2 knights and 10 country leaders, to head towards the sacred Saint Universe country to reclaim the invaded territory for their allies. At the same time, he announced to the public, any human clan or power that coveted the sacred universe country would become an enemy of the Milky Way Galaxy. The Milky Way Galaxy would not allow anyone to threaten the safety of their allies' territories. If they continued to attack, the Milky Way Galaxy would declare war on the human clans and powers. The Virtual World Group, which was closely related to the Milky Way Galaxy's alliance, immediately pushed the Milky Way Galaxy's announcement to the rest of the universe. Humans with virtual network accounts didn't just receive messages on the virtual network, they also received messages in their mailboxes. 5 minutes later, the Universe Union Bank's publicity department expressed their support for the Milky Way Galaxy's announcement. 15 minutes later, of Planet Yin's 4 titans, the Hua clan and the Spirit Rabbit clan expressed their support for the Milky Way Galaxy's announcement. In a short span of half an hour, the entire universe exploded. It could be said that this was the first time the Milky Way galaxy had taken the initiative to speak since Yi Zichen took control. The content of the announcement was completely in line with the Milky Way galaxy's aura. The Milky Way galaxy was back. The Milky Way galaxy, which countless humans had once looked up to and viewed as a holy land, had truly returned. 10 years of forbearance, shaking the world in a single day. From the Milky Way galaxy's announcement, it was clear how resolute the Milky Way galaxy was in this war. What was even more unexpected was that the human race had been ambiguous for so long. The Virtual World Group and the Azure Moon Galaxy's private conflict made everyone feel that there would definitely be a war within the human race. The two sides of this war were the Virtual World Group and the Azure Moon Galaxy. Although the Milky Way galaxy had indeed returned, its overall strength was far from comparable to the Azure Moon Galaxy and the Virtual World Group. The humans of the universe knew this very well. Even though Yi Zichen was the reincarnation of the master of the Milky Way, the overall strength of the human race wasn't something that could be achieved overnight. And yet, the Milky Way galaxy was the Milky Way galaxy. While the various human factions were still ambiguous, the Milky Way galaxy had started the human race's first war in the universe. Galaxy invasions were small skirmishes. This was unavoidable, but the Milky Way galaxy had directly announced the war and mobilized an army of tens of millions. What's more, it was a fight between 2 sovereigns and 10 rulers. This was, in fact, a declaration of war. What's more, the Milky Way galaxy really did it. The moment the Milky Way galaxy made the announcement, many media personnel began to head to the Milky Way galaxy to investigate. They wanted to report the moment the Milky Way galaxy mobilized its army. To their surprise, the Milky Way galaxy's army never arrived. Instead, in the virtual network, they saw that insiders and online media had updated the situation. The Milky Way galaxy had mobilized 2,000 interstellar battleships, 1,000,000 combat spaceships, and 100,000 supply spaceships. Nobody knew why the Milky Way galaxy had acted so quickly. Most people suspected that the Milky Way galaxy had already mobilized its army and only made the announcement after it did. This also proved that the Milky Way galaxy was definitely going to fight. Public opinion? That's not it. We're determined to fight you. No matter what you do, we can't be bothered to feign civility. This was the Milky Way galaxy. This was also the attitude the Milky Way galaxy should have. The internet was filled with discussions about the Milky Way galaxy's return. Countless people even exaggerated that their youth had returned. Indeed, the Milky Way galaxy had been destroyed for too long. Once a star level, now they may have become a universe-level big boss. Back when they were still young, they might already have countless descendants in their later generations. The Milky Way galaxy. The once arrogant Milky Way galaxy had returned after being destroyed, and the first thing it did was to declare war. If this wasn't youth returning, then what was? This was youth. This was the Milky Way galaxy. Chapter 2695. In the virtual network. Many media outlets were still reporting. It could be said that the Milky Way galaxy's declaration of war was the most explosive news during this period of time. There were also many people in the universe uploading images. All sorts of reports about the Milky Way galaxy's current location. The Milky Way galaxy's attitude was to ignore the content of the news. Upload it, then upload it. This is the confidence of our Milky Way galaxy. We don't care if anyone ambushes us on the way and sabotages the battle to recapture it. Zizi's Milky Way Lord. As expected of a Milky Way Lord, Hua Jinro pouted and walked around Yi Zichen in the cabin of the battleship. The Milky Way galaxy is making a move. Yes, a big move. You're starting again? Yi Zichen, who was sitting in the cabin, looked up at her. He was having a good time in the second universe. She was the one who kept sending him voice messages, urging him to leave the second universe. She had something important to say. This was what happened after he left. What did I do? Hua Jinro pretended to blink innocently, pursed her lips, and suddenly snorted. You have the nerve to talk to me? You're so weird. Am I not allowed to talk to you? Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. I still have to endure it. You're in the wrong here, so you have to endure it. How am I in the wrong? It's not like you guys don't know Tian Hai. His universe was invaded. And Jingling, don't you guys know her as well? Yi Zichen's expression was serious. Even if he was given another 10 or 100 choices, he would still make the same decision. He definitely wouldn't change it. You might have misunderstood something. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with helping Tian Hai take back his universe. I'm saying that what you're doing is wrong. Hua Jinro frowned. What are you talking about? Yi Zichen didn't understand. Great deity, there's really something wrong with what you're doing. Meng Luo also pursed her lips. Yes. Bai Yu also nodded. I also feel like there's something wrong with this. Saluer also spoke up. Only the flame rat didn't speak. He merely shrugged. At this time, it was useless for him to announce his thoughts. What's wrong with me? Yi Zichen didn't understand. Why do you all say that? Is it because it'll offend someone, or will it break the balance of the universe? Almighty, are you angry? Meng Luo whispered. No, I'm not angry. Yi Zichen replied very seriously. So many of you are wrong. Perhaps I did do something wrong, but I really don't know where it is. I hope you can point it out for me. If it was just Hua Jinro alone, Yi Zichen might have insisted on his idea. But now, Meng Luo, Bai Yu, and even the usually silent Su Luer all said there was a problem. In that case, it was very possible that Yi Zichen had missed something about the declaration of war. During this time, he was also thinking. He didn't feel that anything was wrong. Lord Yi, do you know what an ally is? Hua Jinro frowned. The moment Hua Jinro said that, Yi Zichen reacted. Do you know what a declaration of war means? Hua Jinro asked. We announced that we are allies in an offensive and defensive alliance. In other words, your declaration of war represents the conclusion that everyone in your alliance came to after discussion. It also means that we, who are in your alliance, have to declare war as well. But, did you discuss it with us? When Yi Zichen told the Milky Way to announce the declaration, Hua Jinro and Meng Luo were still fighting monsters outside. It was a message from someone in the family, asking for the specifics. Hua Jinro was completely shocked. She quickly looked at the message on the virtual network. That was when she found out about it. Lord Yi, do you know how long I was scolded by my dad? But I still endured the pressure and told our family's external announcer to repost your declaration of war. You didn't even tell me about such a huge thing. What if the Sanyua Galaxy uses this to declare war on my family? Let me ask you, what should we do? Hua Jinro said angrily. Meng Luo also nodded. Although she wasn't scolded, she did talk to the people in the family for a long time in order to explain. I forced myself to say that you discussed it with me. I also agreed to this. It's fortunate that I came out now. If I was in the family, I don't know what they would say about me. Yi Zichen faced Hua Jinro's torrent of words. I was wrong. Yi Zichen was unable to defend himself at all. He really didn't think that much. This was the problem with never being a leader. He didn't think that deeply. You admit your mistakes rather quickly. Hua Jinro didn't know whether she should continue getting angry when she saw Yi Zichen admit his mistakes, especially that pitiful look. Forget it. Anyway, you have to be careful next time. The meaning of an alliance is a whole. Anything that you announce to the outside world has to be discussed, because when you announce the news, it represents the will of all of us in your alliance. I'll pay attention next time. Yi Zichen scratched his face, then smiled idiotically towards Hua Jinro. What are you smiling for? I'm seriously screwed over by you. I was just about to take over my dad's position. Oh yeah, did Leader Wen Li and Leader Londi look for you? No. Yi Zichen looked at the virtual network. He didn't receive any information from the two giants on the internet. As expected of a big shot, they could just sit still. Hua Jinro said. I didn't panic at all. Meng Luo tilted her head. When my family asked me, I said that I agreed. Then, when they asked me when I said it, I said just now. Fine. You guys are all big shots. I'm the only pitiful one. Hua Jinro twitched her mouth, then reminded Yi Zichen to definitely discuss it with her next time. At the very least, he had to let her know. She only stopped after getting Yi Zichen's confirmation. Yeah, look, it's a black hole. At that moment, Meng Luo pointed at the pitch-black sphere outside and exclaimed, "Black hole!" Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and looked outside. All of a sudden, Winnie and Aelin also looked out. "Lord, we can't do the dark universe jump anymore. You're going to let it go?" Yi Zichen asked with a frown. "Yes, we're going to start preparing for the dark universe jump right now." Before Winnie finished, Bailey patted Yi Zichen's shoulder. An email came from the Ancestral Dragon. Chapter 2696. The Ancestral Dragon Clan's Virtual Network Mail. He glanced at the little mechanical elf on his shoulder. It was quite surprising that he would receive a mail from the Ancestral Dragon Tribe at this time. One must know that, ever since the previous gathering email, the Ancestral Dragon Tribe had not made any contact with the participants of the trial. "I'll go take a look." Yi Zichen nodded towards the people in the cabin, then entered the virtual network. Yi Zichen opened the email. Bailey stood on Yi Zichen's shoulder and also read the contents of the email. Yi Zichen couldn't help but laugh after reading through the contents of the email. He tilted his head and looked at Bailey, who was on his shoulder. "You're talking about this Ancestral Dragon Clan. What are you trying to do?" The contents of the email truly made Yi Zichen want to laugh. It was too deliberate. From the contents of the email, Yi Zichen could read between the lines. It was a deliberate plot. The content of the email was simple. The Ancestral Dragon Clan's second trial was about to begin. The mission Yi Zichen saw was the Battle of the Sacred Region's Cosmic Nations. Mission details. Recapturing the Sacred Universe country's homeland. Mission time. 1 year and 3 months. They could take back their homeland at any time. The quest would be considered complete. Otherwise, you will fail. At the top of the mail, it didn't clearly state whether or not he would be the one to carry out the mission. What was written was, "Please be in the training groups around the Sacred Universe country." Reply to this email. The Ancestral Dragon Tribe would make a decision based on the distance to the trial team. Not only that, the deadline to head to the Ancestral Dragon Clan had also changed. It had been pushed back by a year. What did the Sacred Region Universe country have to do with the Ancestral Dragon Clan? They actually used this to carry out the mission. Back at the cabin, the warship had already stopped its dark universe propulsion. By now, Yi Zichen and the others could already clearly see the outline of the black hole. Dark universe. It was not the normal universe that humans lived in. In this space, only a small amount of light could reach this place. Most of the space was pitch black. Battleships and spaceships navigating in the dark universe all relied on their cosmic radars to detect and determine if they had deviated from their destination. A black hole. When a dying star collapses, it will gather into a single point, which will become a black hole, devouring all light and any matter in the nearby region of the universe. Visually, it was also pitch black. In the already pitch black environment of the dark universe, the existence of black holes became even more hidden. If one was not paying attention, it would be very difficult to discover its existence. If a battleship or spaceship did not give any advance warning, it would not be able to escape. It was very likely that he would enter the range of the black hole before the thrust ended and be swallowed into the endless black hole. Such things were not uncommon. Almost every year in the human race universe, something like this happened. At that moment, Yi Zichen and the others had nearly become the black hole's meal. From where they stood, they could clearly see. This dark universe black hole was like an open mouth, swallowing everything around it. How can a black hole form in the dark universe? Overlord, the dark universe we are traveling in now is actually a part of the human universe. Winnie replied. For some reason, a part of the human universe has turned into a dark universe, allowing humans to travel through the universe more efficiently. It's rumored that the dark space between human universe countries and universe countries was created by the Milky Way Master. Master of the galaxy? Yi Zichen really wanted to sigh. Just what kind of person was the Master of the galaxy? In the human race universe, it seemed like anything could be related to him. The dark universe passageway was created by him. Yi Zichen really wanted to ask, is there anything he can't do? That's just a rumor. The Milky Way Master has never personally admitted that he did it. Said Winnie. He didn't say that he didn't do it, right? That's right. Then it's probably him. The mighty shadow of the Milky Way master was already standing in front of Yi Zichen. Omnipotent. As long as you can't think of it, there's nothing he can't do. Yi Zichen didn't know why, but this feeling was somewhat familiar. It was as if he'd met someone like this before. The heaven-stealing mercenary group. Suddenly, Yi Zichen's expression froze. The heaven-stealing mercenary group seemed to be the same. As long as you gave them enough money, there was nothing they couldn't do. They were omnipotent. Perhaps this was the common trait of the strong. Let's return to the real universe. The Ancestral Dragon Clan just sent us a mail saying that the gathering time has been delayed by a year. We don't need to be in such a rush. Yi Zichen smiled at them. Meng Luo was the first to reveal an unhappy expression. Why did they delay it? She wanted to hurry to the Ancestral Dragon Clan and begin her adventure, but now Yi Zichen suddenly said it was delayed. You little girl, why are you in such a hurry? Yi Zichen rubbed Meng Luo's head. Delaying it won't affect us going to the Ancestral Dragon Clan. If we get there early, we can play around with them. That's not as fun as adventuring. Meng Luo twitched her mouth. We're still young. We still have a long way to go. Yi Zichen patted Meng Luo's head. Why did the Ancestral Dragon Clan suddenly delay the gathering time? Hua Jinro frowned. My dad told me that the Ancestral Dragon Clan is a very rigid clan. They never easily change their rules. A trial mission came. Yi Zichen shrugged. A trial. Meng Luo's eyes lit up. It has nothing to do with us. It's just that this trial is rather interesting. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. At the same time, they returned to the real universe from the dark universe. The content of the trial is actually a battle between the Holy Region Cosmic Nations. The trial teams around the Holy Region Cosmic Nations will report to them. Then they'll choose a strategy team. I feel like they're targeting me. I just said that I'm going to help Tian Hai, and the Ancestral Dragon Clan did this to me. Do you think they're doing this on purpose? Before Yi Zichen could finish, Yi Zichen saw a scene of destruction. It was as if they were in a wasteland. Shattered life stars were everywhere. Floating objects. Broken war machines. It was like a battlefield. This place. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. Lord, you just said that you feel like the Ancestral Dragon Clan is targeting you on purpose, right? Winnie asked, is there a problem? You might be right, and they're targeting us very much. Winnie's gaze turned very heavy. What do you mean? Yi Zichen frowned. Winnie let out a sigh and looked around. This place is the Saint Galaxy Universe country. Our battleship is within the boundaries of the Saint Galaxy Universe country. If I'm not wrong, then this should be the battlefield. Chapter 2697. Sacred Region Universe Country Battle Zone. Are you sure? Everyone could sense the change in Yi Zichen's tone. It was a bone-chilling voice. Yes, leader. This is indeed the Sacred Universe country. Our current position should be the original universe country's Titang Galaxy, the sixth galaxy of the Sacred Universe country. Winnie replied seriously, then projected a map in front of Yi Zichen. Look, it really is here. The universal coordinates haven't been updated yet, so it's still in the Titang star region. All right, good, all right. Yi Zichen clenched his fists, and the smile on his face twisted menacingly. This was more than targeted. They were here for him. After all, when Yi Zichen read the email, he'd assumed that the Ancestral Dragon Clan was targeting the Milky Way galaxy and helping the Sacred Region. From the looks of it now, it was directed at him. Kacha! Yi Zichen crushed the cup in his hand. Guru, Meng Luo, didn't you want to go on an adventure? Great, it's time for our trial. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes, then nodded as if he were laughing, but also as if he were angry. Ancestral Dragon Clan, what are you trying to do? Yi, I think there's something wrong with this. Bailey whispered beside Yi Zichen's ear. I don't know much about the Ancestral Dragon Clan, but this is truly too coincidental. That's right. Why don't we contact Leader Wen Li and Leader Lan Di? It was the Ancestral Dragon Clan who broke the rules first. Bailey spoke. Destroy? What do they destroy? Yi Zichen smiled. They're deliberately messing with you. Where is the evidence? The rage in his heart was clearly on the verge of exploding But Yi Zichen pressed his hand against his thigh to maintain his calm. You're saying that the other party manipulated things just based on pure coincidence? This is too far-fetched. The universe is so big. There are always coincidences. Dark universe black holes too? Bailey shouted. Overlord, I wanted to say this when I saw the dark universe black hole just now. Winnie bit her lip. The appearance of this black hole is too strange. There are indeed black holes in the dark space of the human race, but they are usually at the polar regions. We are now at the center of the universe, so such a situation should not have occurred. That's right. Bailey directly stood up from Yi Zichen's shoulder. I've just hacked into the Virtual World Corporation's network and checked the coordinates of all the dark universe black holes. Dark universe black holes have never appeared in this route. This is a deliberate plan. They're using this method to force us to pass through the sacred region universe country. Everyone else in the cabin frowned as well. Sulu squinted her eyes. Everyone looked towards Yi Zichen, waiting for his decision. I still stand by my words. Where is the evidence? Couldn't Yi Zichen sense it? With so many coincidences, did he not suspect that the ancestral dragon clan was behind this? The problem was, where was the evidence? What evidence do they have to prove that everything was done by the ancestral dragon clan? Do you think I don't know that they are deliberately targeting me? Do I not understand? From the moment that email was sent, I felt that there was something wrong with this matter. But what can we say? We have no evidence. Everything needs evidence. Yi Zichen looked at everyone in the cabin and grinned. Moreover, have you ever heard of the right of final explanation? So what if we have evidence? A random excuse from the ancestral dragon clan. That will do. You're different from the others. Don't forget, you're the Galactic Lord. You're the leader of the Milky Way galaxy. I even suspect that the Archean Moon galaxy is in contact with the ancestral dragon clan. The Milky Way overlord is nothing. Yi Zichen replied in disdain. In their eyes, a galactic lord like me is nothing. Yezi, that's enough. I'll reply to the email and wait for the ancestral dragon clan's reply. At that time, we will know whether this was deliberate or accidental. Yi Zichen logged back into the virtual network. Then, he replied to the email. Virtual World Corporation's Yi Zichen Strategy Team. Universe Coordinates. Sacred Region Cosmic State. He was too lazy to tell them the exact coordinates. If it was a deliberate plot, it would be useless even if he said he was in the Milky Way. Half an hour later, there was no reply from the ancestral dragon clan. Yi Zichen also logged out of the virtual network, while Meng Luo and company all came over. What do you think? No reply yet. Winnie Ailin, Hua, Jianro, Baiyu, Meng Luo, Flame Rat, Lu Urjia. What is it, great God? Lord? Everyone turned to look at him. If they reply to the email later, we will be the ones to make the final decision. You guys go back. What are you talking about? Hua Jianro was the first to be unwilling. Baiyu didn't furrow his brows. Meng Luo and the Flame Rat were even more confused. Almighty? You don't know this, but the mission in this email is a two-way street. There are those who assist in the recapture and those who resist the recapture. This proves that there are others who will participate in this mission. Yi Zichen asked, So what? It's not like we're lacking them. I suspect that someone is setting this up. Yi Zichen rubbed his nose. The more I think about it, the more problematic it seems. Bailey was right about one thing, that Songyue Galaxy might be behind this. This is impossible. Baiyu shook his head. The ancestral dragon clan is above the human universe. No one can instruct the ancestral dragon clan in any way. This is absolutely impossible. Then this matter, Almighty, regardless of whether it's a setup or not, we can't just ignore you, Meng Luo frowned. Who do you think we are? Are we supposed to leave just because there's danger? Yeah, Almighty. The Flame Rat also nodded. Lord Yi, we are allies in an alliance. I don't want to hear something like that from you again. Hua Jinro frowned. Allies. Even if we die, we should die together. But I don't think I'll die. If they dare to kill me, why don't I believe it? Even if I stick my head out for them to chop off, they wouldn't dare. Yeah, they wouldn't dare. Meng Luo twitched her mouth. Easy. What you said just now has disappointed me. Sulur shook her head. Suluer shook her head. You're still the same as before. You always feel like you can withstand anything, but things are different now. Lord, my responsibility is to protect you. Even if I die, you can't die. Even if someone is going to die, it should be me who dies first. Winnie said, All right, I was wrong again. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and smiled helplessly. Since that's the case, then let's go to hell together. Chapter 2698. To the Yellow Springs together. Although it was a bit exaggerated, the meaning it conveyed was not too far off. It could be seen from the fact that no one in the cabin refuted it. That was the situation. The email was replied. Bailey, who was on Yi Zichen's shoulder, reminded him. Yi Zichen couldn't be bothered to check the virtual network anymore. See, I was chosen, right? That's right. This result was actually within his expectations. It also proved that the Ancestral Dragon Clan had purposely set up this trial. Are we the attacking side? Yes. Bailey checked the Ancestral Dragon Clan's reply. We will be fighting on the side of the sacred region. Do you know who the opponent is? Not yet. All right, I got it. Yi Zichen let out a deep sigh, while a disdainful smile appeared on his face. Now that it's like this, let's see what the Ancestral Dragon Clan wants to do. It's fortunate that they told us to stand on the side of the sacred region. If they told us to defend, Bailey muttered. Yi Zichen's heart tensed up when he heard that. It's true. If they told us to go to the defensive side, then the Ancestral Dragon Clan's actions were too much. They can't do that, right? When he thought for a moment, they were in the wrong in the first place. If they go overboard, Hedwin Lee and the others will probably reason with them, right? That's possible. Hua, Jinro nodded. Everyone knew that the head of the Virtual World Corporation, Wen Li, was definitely a domineering person. If she really made up her mind, no one could control her. Perhaps the Ancestral Dragon Clan had taken Wen Li into consideration, which was why they made this targeting seem smoother. I'll contact Tianhai. With that, Yi Zichen sent an invitation to Tianhai's universe projection. Approximately half a minute later, Tianhai accepted the projection. Yi Zi, I was just about to look for you. Really? Yi Zichen, who wanted to explain the situation to Tianhai, was stunned. What is it? I just received an email from the Ancestral Dragon Clan. All of a sudden, the expressions of everyone in the cabin changed. This Ancestral Dragon Clan, the efficiency of doing things was really fast. They immediately sent an email to Tianhai after confirming that Yi Zichen was a participant. What did they say? The mail says that the Ancestral Dragon Clan has used our Sanctum Universe Nation as the trial mission for this batch of participants. When the time comes, there will be participants coming here to meet up with me and fight together. In the projection, Tianhai frowned. This time, your Milky Way galaxy has also sent out troops. I wanted to tell you about it and see what your decision is. The higher-ups didn't say who went to find you. Yi Zichen smiled. I didn't. All right, you've seen it now. Yi Zichen shrugged. Tianhai frowned. It's you? That's right. Yi Zichen shrugged. This is also why I'm contacting you. In the following year and a half, I'll help you reclaim the sacred universe country. In other words, our goal this time is to take it back. And not just to save Jingling, how could it be you? Tianhai furrowed his brows, as if he had a lot on his mind. It feels like a deliberate move. No need to feel, just say that they did it on purpose. Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. Yi Zichen shrugged with a smile. That's what everyone in the cabin thinks. Since that's the case, why did you agree? I can't refuse. Yi Zichen clenched his fist. Ever since he confirmed to join the Ancestral Dragon Clan's trial, no matter if they were the lords or highnesses of the 8 great lords, or whatever status they had in the human universe, they all lost their most basic rights. Choice. The Ancestral Dragon Clan gave you the trial. You can't give it up, you can only accept it. Give me your universe coordinates. I'll come find you right now. We're in the Sanctum Universe Nation right now. We'll talk about the rest when we meet. All right. Tianhai nodded. The projection ended. Then, Yi Zichen received a message from Tianhai's chat with the universe's coordinates. Bailey, the universe coordinates. Let's go. Virtual World Corporation. Wenli sat on a bench. The atmosphere around her was so heavy that it was hard to breathe. Nine-faced. Sis, did you contact the ancestral dragon clan? We're still in contact. The nine-faced overlord replied with a frown. Just now, they received news that Yi Zichen would participate in the Sanctum Universe Nations war as a trial participant. Wenli was enraged when she heard this. Ancestral Dragon Clan. Since when were they able to interfere with the affairs of the human race? Their trials never interfered with such things. Suddenly sending out such a trial, and it just so happened to be Yi Zichen. There was definitely something wrong. Approximately 10-odd minutes later, the nine-faced overlord, who was trying to contact the ancestral dragon clan, ran over. Sis, I got in touch. In a virtual projection, the back was a stretch of yellow sand, and in the middle of the yellow sand stood a pitch-black shadow. Hello, great leader Wenli. Who are you? I want to find Zuing. Wenli frowned. Tell Zuing to come see me. Leader Wenli, Zuing has been punished due to some wrong decisions. Before the trial ends, she is not allowed to contact anyone, the black figure said slowly. I am the Ancestral Dragon Clan's justice. I have full authority to deal with all of the Ancestral Dragon Clan's problems. Very good. Justice, your justice, right? That's right. Then let me ask you, what's going on with Milky Way Lord Yi Zichen's trial? Wenli suppressed her anger. Since when did your ancestral dragon clan interfere with the affairs of the human race? I was just about to explain this to you. Justice's lips twitched in the projection. I didn't make the decision. I am justice, not the judge. Although the judge has already been punished, I don't have the power to judge. This proposal was provided by the Tsanyue Galaxy. Our ancestral dragon clan's management voted, and the majority agreed. That's why this is the result. He spoke righteously and righteously. The Tsanyue system provided us with information. At first, Lord Yi Zichen was supposed to be on the defensive. Later, after understanding the human race's situation, I changed it to be on the offensive. Tsanyue. Wenli clenched her fists. Yes, Tsanyue. The Supreme One has the right to make suggestions for the Ancestral Dragon Clan. I'm sure you know that. Justice replied. Then I suggest that you withdraw the proposal. Sorry, our trial has already begun. No more changes can be made, nor are we allowed to destroy it. Justice muttered slowly. Justice said softly, I apologize for the inconvenience, and I've already made a correction within the limits of my authority. The defending side will be designated as the Universe Mercenary Alliance's Majesty. This way, both sides will be sending out people. It's very fair. Then I really have to thank you. Wenli said with a fake smile. This is what I should do. It's over. Wenli frowned. The nine-faced overlord turned off the projection. Sis, contact Tsanyue for me. I feel like I need to have a good chat with her about some things. Chapter 2699. A single room in a farmhouse. A blue-haired man with a scar on his face was sitting on a wooden bench. There was even a red cushion under him that was brimming with a festive red color. In front of him was a table full of dishes. Every time he took a bite, he would raise his eyebrows and nod his head. When he tasted the other dishes, he would nod his head in surprise. Star-Lord. Outside, Cece lifted the curtain and walked in. The man sitting inside smiled when he saw her. Cece, come quickly. The food on Earth is really special. I really love this planet now. Cece was as rigid as ever. She did not pay any attention to Star-Lord Sanyue's words at all. An invitation from a virtual world corporation. Boo! Star-Lord Sanyue, who was about to pick up another dish, was stunned. Virtual World Corporation. Cece replied. You came at the right time. I miss her a little. Accept it. Not long after, a virtual projection appeared in the single room. Star Master Tsanyue even deliberately tidied her hair and raised her hand as a greeting. Hello, beautiful Wenli. Wenli sneered coldly, and his eyes were filled with disdain. I really don't know what's wrong with this world. The person who was once not even fit to carry my shoes now dares to sit and talk to me. Yeah, the world is so strange. Star-Lord Sanyue was not angry at all. She even picked up a piece of braised pork for herself leisurely. But isn't the problem with you? Really? Wenli whispered. It's the same time. Why is it that I've grown to the point where I can sit and talk to you, but you haven't grown to the point where you're not even worthy of me cleaning your shoes? Deep Moon Star Master narrowed her eyes. Wenli, you are the one who has regressed. In my eyes, you're still not worthy. It's just you who doesn't know your place and thinks that just because you've become an utmost being, you have the right to stand on equal footing with me. Little did they know, you're still that lowly fellow. In the projection, when Lee's eyes were cold and her arms were crossed. That's good too. I can see your true colors better. Think about the past. You were so lowly to the bone. Now that I feel like I've turned things around, the corners of my lips have changed. How ridiculous. When Lee, you lost. Suddenly, Star Master Tsinga stopped smiling and shrugged at Wen Li in the projection. Only the weak talk more. You taught me that. Now, you've spoken more than me. When a senior educates a junior, in order to let the junior have a clearer understanding, it is natural for him to speak more. The students in those schools speak less than the teachers. Are they experts? Wen Li said disdainfully. You're really good at discerning. Song Yu shrugged. I just like to let those who have been deceived by lies see the truth. Wen Li whispered. Good, good, good. You're right. Song Yu pretended to be defeated and shrugged. You and I haven't been in contact for tens of thousands of years. Why are you suddenly contacting me? Master of the Milky Way or Milky Way Lord? Or are you interested in me? Are you declaring war? Wen Li spoke. When the words declare war came out from the projection, Cece's expression changed. The nine-faced overlord in the projection also frowned. Do you dare? Star Lord Song Yu whispered. Do you think there's anything in this universe that I don't dare to do? Wen Li looked down at Song Yu, her eyes filled with a heart-palpitating coldness. This crazy woman, no matter how calm Star Lord Song Yu appeared to be, at that moment, she was really shaken. Although it was only for a moment, Wen Li still caught it. You are still very immature. If you don't have absolute confidence and strength, don't think about challenging the world. You're still far from reaching that Song Yu galaxy. I will work hard. Star-Lord Song Yu smiled calmly. Then why did Teacher Wen Li come back? I just wanted to ask you. Wen Li pursed her lips, her eyes revealing a deep smile. If you want to fight, we'll accompany you anytime. Don't go overboard with some things. It's not good for you. Don't think that I don't know what you've done. The Titan race was caused by you, right? Wen Li's eyes darkened. If you want to stir up the overall situation, first touch your neck and see if it's hard enough to withstand your glue-filled brain. You really? Star-Lord, the other party has already stopped the virtual projection. Cece said. Huh. Star-Lord Song Yu's face was full of smiles as she casually threw the chopsticks in her hand on the table. What a pity for this table of dishes. A woman who doesn't know what's good for her has stirred up the taste. Star-Lord, what did she want to talk to you about? Cece was puzzled. What else could it be? She just wants to take advantage of me with her mouth. This might make her happy, Star-Lord Song Yu said disdainfully. You have to understand that a woman who has been alone for tens of thousands of years will inevitably become somewhat extreme. We should learn to tolerate her. Then, I'm going into seclusion for a period of time. Don't look for me during this period. With that, Star-Lord Song Yu disappeared from the shop. Cece glanced at the dishes on the table, took out a small wallet from her pocket, and smiled gently at the restaurant cashier. Hello. How much did you spend there? I'll settle the bill. Sister, just now you... Nine-faced overlord looked at Wen Li with a puzzled look. I feel much better after scolding him. Wen Li stretched lazily. This Song Yu really deserves to be scolded. Oh. Nine-faced overlord nodded lightly. Back then, she was indeed frightened by Wen Li. She had followed Wen Li for hundreds of thousands of years, and she had always been very cold. She would never say such words to someone she didn't like. Concise and to the point. Straight to the point. This was Wen Li's style. During this period of time, give Song Yu's system some pressure. Target the virtual network of all their personnel. Block 30% of them first. Block them randomly. Whoever you block will be counted. Yes. Also, help me contact Milky Way Galaxy Zine. Zhuan, right? He's the spokesperson now. Wen Li spoke. Yes. Sister, why are you looking for him? I suspect that Song Yu is in the Milky Way Galaxy. When Wen Li's voice fell, nine-faced overlord's eyes widened. He isn't a Milky Way galaxy? He might even be on Earth. Well, he bit her lip. That's why I acted like that. Otherwise, do you think I would be so polite to him? Why didn't I mention anything about Yi Zichen? Guessed. You're too polite. She'd purposely picked on a supreme expert's sore spot and even called him a blockhead. So that counted as being polite. I'll contact him right away. Go on. Also, tell Shea to return to Earth in the Milky Way galaxy and make arrangements as soon as possible. Chapter 2700. Sacred Universe Country. Child Planet 377. Once controlled by Sky C, the Sacred Universe Country with 70 million life planets now only had this 1.5 life planets left. It was still under Sky C's control. Rather than saying it was under his control, it was more like the invaders didn't notice this life planet and were too lazy to attack it. It wasn't a resource planet, nor was it a life planet. It was just a child planet. This life planet wasn't even 1/20th the size of Earth. There weren't any strategic or life resources within. Even the most basic water resources couldn't be found here. The entire planet was made up of 70% iron, 3% steel, and 27% earth. The oxygen content was thin, below the minimum required by humans. The planet was filled with large amounts of carbon dioxide and chlorine. Such a planet couldn't be stayed for long. If one insisted on staying, they would die. He believed that the invaders knew this as well. That was why they didn't come here to attack. No matter what, Sky C was still a knight. If he really had the determination to die and fought the invaders to the death, then the invaders would definitely have suffered fatal injuries. At this time, the subordinates of Sky C from the Sacred Universe Country were stationed in such a terrible environment. Quick, the wounded need to be sterilized. Serum, we need serum here. Check the supplies and report. There are wounded people everywhere. Among these humans, losing an arm or an eye was considered a relatively light injury. There were even more who had their bodies destroyed from the waist down, and some were left with their last breath. Even so, the Sacred Universe still maintained their patrols. However, amongst the patrols, it was hard to see anyone who was still alive. So tragic. Sitting in the cabin, Meng Luo covered her mouth with her hands, her eyes filled with shock. She indeed wanted to live an adventurous life. However, the adventure she imagined was definitely not this. Hua Jianro, Bai Yu, and the Flame Rat all fell silent. They were all well protected by their families. They didn't know that war was a reality like this, compared to these young masters and misses of the noble families. Even Winnie subconsciously swallowed her saliva. She was obviously shocked by the scene in front of her. She was a duke. She had lived for a long time. However, she had always been with Chicano and was well protected by her teacher. Moreover, they were arrested and sent to the human prison very early on. Even if she had been living in space all her life, she would still be moved. The human race had been at peace for far too long. She wasn't the only one who hadn't seen king-ranked martial artist blood before. This was no exaggeration. On the other hand, Aylin's expression remained the same. Almighty, don't you feel scared? Meng Luo pursed her lips and glanced at Yi Zichen and Su Luer. Only then did she discover that their gazes were very calm. Why would I be afraid? Yi Zichen laughed. So many people. Meng Luo pointed. Yi Zichen rubbed her head. There's no helping it. This is war. Even though they were pained by the tragedy of the war, but wasn't war just like that? Both he and Su Luer had experienced great battles. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that they'd seen battles far worse than this. Will war be like this? Meng Luo raised her head. Probably. Yi Zichen couldn't bear to give Meng Luo too much of a mental blow. War is inevitable, which is why we need to treasure the precious peace we have right now. Then, if we humans fight, perhaps countless lives will be lost. Yi Zichen looked up and sighed. A scene involuntarily appeared in his mind. The destruction of planets, the collapse of galaxies, battleships, and energy cannons filled outer space. Battleships shuttled back and forth everywhere. Humans like that were truly terrible. Stop. Halt. At that moment, dozens of experts appeared at the front of the battleship. Their leader was a king-ranked minotaur. One of his horns was missing, and his broken horn was covered in scabs of blood. His left arm had also disappeared from his elbow. His entire body was covered in congealed blood. The people around him were more or less the same. Yizichin could only describe their condition as tragic. He could tell. Their gazes weren't all that resolute. They were afraid. It was very likely that the people inside the battleship were sovereigns or kings. If they were invaders, they would all die. But this was already their last stop. They couldn't retreat any further. Stop advancing. Otherwise, we will self-destruct and destroy your battleship. The Minotaur expert shouted. Self-destruct. Were they thinking about energy self-detonation now? Have they all given up on fighting? Bailey, stop advancing. Yizichin hurriedly said. These people were already forced to the edge of a cliff. It was very likely that the slightest mistake on his part would cause them to do something extreme. For example, self-destruct. Self-destruct their divine bodies. Logically speaking, they should have known that Yizichin would come here. Yizichin had already told Tianhai about it. The battleship stopped advancing. The Minotaur King-level expert stared intently at the battleship. Open the cabin. Lord, be careful. Don't worry, I'm not here to fight. I'm a Milky Way Lord. What can they do to me? I'm their ally. Yizichin's gaze was firm. As their ally, can't I even go down to the cabin to meet them? Even so, Winnie and Aelin followed closely behind him. Yizichin opened the cabin door. The Minotaur King-level expert's attack arrived almost immediately after he disembarked. Boom! Aelin and Winnie instantly erected an energy barrier around Yizichin. A king-level expert's attack was definitely not that easy to defend against. Even with Winnie and Aelin working together, the energy barrier instantly shattered. However, the shattered barrier also negated the Minotaur expert's attack. What are you doing? This is a Milky Way Lord, an ally of your sacred region, Cosmic Country. We're here to help you. Winnie shouted angrily, while the universal energy in her hand surged towards Yizichin. Milky Way? Lord! The Minotaur expert was stunned and frowned. How can we trust you? I didn't receive any news from the leader that the Milky Way Lord would come here. If you don't believe me, then just go in and report it. Yizichin slowly walked out and faced the Minotaur expert. Milky Way Lord, Yizichin is here. Chapter 2701. Lord Yi. In the sky, Tianhai stepped on the void and hurriedly arrived. Leader, all the humans in the sky, including the Minotaurs, greeted Tianhai. Yizichin and company stood silently at a distance and looked at the man in front of them. Be big, brother Tianhai. Yizichin found it hard to believe. Tianhai had lost an arm, a leg, an eye. His face, arms, and chest were covered in terrifying wounds. This is a sovereign? Who would believe that a sovereign could be injured to this extent? Tianhai's body was formed from his consciousness in the virtual network, so Yizichin did not know his exact situation. At the very least, he had intentionally covered himself up during the projection. Tianhai smiled wryly when he saw his terrible state. I've embarrassed myself in front of Lord Yi. How did you get injured to this extent? Yizichin let out a deep sigh. They have sovereigns as well. Quite a few. Tianhai shrugged. There were 4 sovereigns that I fought. I don't know if there will be more sovereigns after that. That many. Yizichin frowned. That's fine. There wasn't much panic in Tianhai's expression. This was his confidence as a sovereign. You don't have to worry too much about my situation. I can actually reform my limbs at any time, but I need to use universal energy. You saw our current situation as well. We don't have the right to waste any more universal energy. Yizichin nodded in understanding. The invaders could attack at any time. If he used up universal energy to reform his arms, then he might be at a disadvantage against the enemy. Compared to universal energy, losing an arm or a leg wasn't that important. As long as he still had his consciousness and was able to control universal energy, then the dignity of a sovereign was eternal. Your situation here is much worse than I imagined. Do you have enough basic resources? When Yizichin finished speaking, Tianhai smiled bitterly. From the looks of it, it was clearly not enough. I'll get Chicano to give you some. Yizi, that's enough. Tianhai pressed down on Yizichin's arm. You've already supported the sacred region enough. I can't take any more resources from you. That will greatly affect your development. We are allies." He reached out and patted Tianhai's shoulder. The word ally made Tianhai's eyes moisten. Allies. To the current sanctuary, it was a very precious word. At that time, when the sacred region was at its peak, it had so many allies that it could not be counted with two hands. Countless families rushed to the sacred region for marriage alliances. At that time, the sacred region was so glorious. He was so high-spirited that he wanted to become one of the 8 major forces in the universe in the future. After that, he gained the favor of the light elemental sprite while adventuring in the universe. At that time, he had thought that the position of one of the 8 tycoons was set in stone. Who would have thought that an innocent man would get into trouble because of his wealth? It was this light elemental sprite of his that brought disaster upon him. The invasion began. One by one, close friends, brothers, close friends left his side. The sacred universe country's territory was greatly reduced. His former allies all felt insecure and scrambled to end their alliance. The faster they came, the more thoroughly they left. Elemental spirits were very rare, but it was actually acceptable for a supremacy to have one. If he had to blame something, he could only blame Tianhai's terrible luck. The person who targeted him was a supreme expert, Archean Moon Galaxy. He had the absolute power to destroy the sacred region cosmic country. At the beginning, Tianhai did not understand. He simply thought that someone was messing with him. Later, when he found out that it was someone from the Archean Moon Galaxy, he even suspected that he had connections with the Milky Way Master. Only when his light elemental sprite self-destructed did he realize. Don't refuse. Yi Zichen patted Tianhai's shoulders. Yi Zichen patted Sky C's shoulders heavily. Purposefully letting her feel his strength was also a sign of Yi Zichen's determination. From the moment I announced you as my ally, the Milky Way Galaxy and the Sacred Region Cosmic Country were already won. What's more, the Sacred Region Cosmic Country's retaking of their territory is my mission. The better you are, the greater my chances of winning. All right. Tianhai's eyes revealed a smile. Oh yeah, why did you participate in the Ancestral Dragon Clan's trial? You know about the Ancestral Dragon Clan? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. I do. Tianhai shrugged. Tianhai shrugged. Those above the supremacy level will definitely know. Why? After you advance to the supremacy level, you have to pay a visit to the Ancestral Dragon Clan. I know, we definitely want to ask why, right? Asked Tianhai. Yes. Having to pay a visit to the Ancestral Dragon Clan in order to advance to the supremacy level really did sound strange. I don't know why either. Tianhai did not give an accurate answer to Yi Zichen's question. You will receive a mail when you advance to the supremacy level. At least all the seniors who broke through will go, so when it comes to you, you will naturally go as well. There is no harm in going there. You won't be asked anything. All you have to do is stay there for 5 years. During those 5 years, you need to provide professional training to the trial takers. After that, you will provide us with a supreme level weapon or armor. You can choose for yourself. So that's how it is. Yi Zichen was stunned. In other words, both the supremacy level and the trial takers head to the Ancestral Dragon Clan at the same time. That's right, Tianhai recalled. The last time I went to the Ancestral Dragon Clan was after I broke through to the supremacy level. I waited about 400 years. Even the weakest of the students I taught at the time was a king level. Tianhai pointed at the Oxhuman expert in front of him. Niu Meng. The Oxhuman expert nodded at Yi Zichen. He was my student back then. Tianhai smiled. He was my student back then. That was his pride. Among the students he taught, there were very few who were willing to lend a hand in such a situation. You participated in the trial? Yi Zichen opened his eyes wide. Yes, Niu Meng nodded. Niu Meng nodded. I was the Universe Union Bank's Majesty back then. I participated in the training. That was also when I met my teacher. Then can I ask you a question? Milky Way Lord, please go ahead. Niu Meng's heart was still filled with guilt. Due to his mistaken judgment, he had nearly accidentally injured his teacher's ally, the Milky Way Lord. If the Milky Way Lord had truly been injured, Even his death would not be enough to make up for it. Now that the Milky Way Lord had a question, he naturally would answer without hesitation. The Ancestral Dragon Clan. Just what is it like? Chapter 2702. The Ancestral Dragon Clan. Yi Zichen couldn't find any information about them in the virtual network. Just like the heaven-stealing mercenary group. Quite a few people in the first human universe knew about them, but there was no record of them in the virtual network. After all, the Virtual World Corporation's virtual network had already reached a very mature level. Every universe that the human race has explored has a virtual network. Even the extreme regions of the universe had a virtual network. Anyone could post their opinions on the internet. And because of this, the virtual network had become the largest distribution and search location for information and intelligence networks. Yet, no one posted anything about them. What's more, what was Yi Zichen's current identity? Lord of the Milky Way. His access to the virtual network was even higher than that of the Eight Lords. Even so, he still couldn't find any useful information. Just what was the Ancestral Dragon Clan like? Why did they have the right to order experts above the supremacy level to report to them? What's more, the supremacies accepted it. Furthermore, the Ancestral Dragon Clan could directly contact the Eight Lords. Their Highness trial. The Eight Lords all responded positively. Just where did their privileges come from? The Ancestral Dragon Clan, to put it bluntly. The Oxhuman King didn't even think before blurting it out. Just as Yi Zichen and company were waiting for his reply, he suddenly moved his lips, then stopped. He didn't say another word. Everyone could only see the change in his expression and gaze. Then, they saw him gulp, then bow apologetically towards Yi Zichen. Lord Yi, sorry, I can't say either. From the Oxhuman King's expression, it was clear that he was about to say it. Now that he suddenly stopped, did someone find you just now? Sorry. The Oxman instantly became tight-lipped. Seeing that, Yi Zichen could only frown, while a hint of a smile appeared in his eyes. No worries. Yi Zichen believed that he definitely had his reasons for not saying anything. He wasn't the type to force others. However, this only made Yi Zichen even more curious about the Ancestral Dragon Clan. Yi Zi, we can discuss it in private, but you are a trial taker right now. We can't reveal any information about the Ancestral Dragon Clan to you, because that would be breaking the rules. I hope you can understand. Tian Hai explained, as if he was afraid that Yi Zichen would overthink. You receive a warning too? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows slightly, while Tian Hai pursed her lips and smiled. It seems like the Ancestral Dragon Clan is really extraordinary. Even Venerable Sky Sea received the other party's inspiration. Let's go. Sky Sea warned. If, due to Yi Zichen's identity as a trial taker, someone from the other side had overheard Yi Zichen's question to Sky Sea and Oxman, then sent a transmission to warn him when they saw that he was about to break the rules, then that would be fine. What if they had sensed that the Oxmen were going to break the balance in an instant without any prior warning and caught them in the blink of an eye? That was a little scary. To be able to do this, didn't that mean that the universe's divine sense could cover the entire virtual network? Would an utmost being be able to do something like this? It must be very difficult. Brother Amami, don't worry about me. I won't think too much about it. I understand. Yi Zichen chuckled, then shrugged. I'm just purely curious. Since he thinks I'm breaking the rules, then don't say anything. You'll know when you get there. Tian Hai nodded. All right. Yi Zichen nodded. Go get the resources in the virtual network. Then we'll make arrangements as soon as possible. No one knows when the Ancestral Dragon Clan will start fighting. Yeah, do you know who they are? I'm not sure yet, but I think... Yi Zichen shrugged. They should be from the Tsanyue Galaxy. It's unlikely for them to be from the Virtual World Corporation. All right, Niu Meng, take Lord Yi and the others to rest. Yes, teacher. Niu Meng nodded, then reached out his hand towards Yi Zichen. Lord Yi, please. In outer space, just what are the Ancestral Dragon Clan trying to do? Shi Hong sat in the cabin and looked at the mail the Ancestral Dragon Clan sent. The second trial. That meant that they had already completed the first trial, but he didn't know what the first trial was. He didn't receive a trial mail either. Didn't this mean that he already had one less trial point compared to the other competitors from the start? If that's the case, this would greatly affect his future rankings. Damn it, I didn't receive any missions. Hong was still frustrated about the first trial. Do you guys remember anything? Big brother Hong, none of this is important right now. A human beauty in the cabin frowned. In the cabin, a beautiful human woman frowned. The first trial is in the past. Now we have to face this trial. I know that. Hong muttered. Even so, he was still thinking about the first round of the trial. Do you have any specific information? Hong asked. Yes, another lion man in the cabin spoke up. Another lion man in the cabin spoke. The sacred universe country is a power built by the saints. Suddenly suffering the invasion of the invaders, the universe country has already fallen. Not long ago, the Milky Way galaxy announced that they have allied with the sacred region and are sending out troops at the same time. There are 2 sovereigns and 10 monarchs. The mission time is 1.5 years. Overall, the defending side has the advantage. The sacred region cosmic country has 70 million life planets. It's pretty impossible to conquer all of them in 1.5 years. What's more, the reinforcements from the Milky Way galaxy will need at least a year to arrive. The Milky Way galaxy. Hong frowned. His impression of the Milky Way galaxy was very deep. It was clearly his engagement, yet the Milky Way galaxy lord, that general-level punk, suddenly came and interfered. If not for him, Baiyu would have been his woman. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that he had fallen in love with Baiyu at first sight. She was actually snatched away, and he even disrespected his father. The Milky Way galaxy right will accept this mission. Hong's eyes flashed with a red light. We'll do this mission. Brother Hong, there's no point in telling us. The person in the cabin laughed bitterly. The mail requires you to reply to our current universe coordinates, and then the ancestral dragon clan will reply. And there's a choice. It's not something we can just do as we please. You talk too much. Hong frowned. The youth in the cabin shrugged his shoulders resentfully. Where are we now? Blueprint Universe Country, adjacent to the sacred region. The person in the cabin replied. Turn around. We'll head to the sacred region Universe Country. Hong ordered, clenching his fists tightly. I'll reply now. We're in the sacred region Universe Country. Hong, will definitely do this mission. Chapter 2703. Lion Hong's tone was very decisive. Without a doubt, he had already made up his mind to find trouble with the Milky Way galaxy. Brother Lion Hong, are we really going to get involved in this mess? The Milky Way galaxy had declared war. This was an official announcement. The allied countries all responded. The Virtual World Corporation was even more unbridled. One could see that this time the Milky Way galaxy was carrying the determination to win in this invasion. In the entire universe, probably no one was willing to stand out at this time. Whoever dared to make a move would probably die a terrible death. What's more, this time the Virtual World Corporation had sent 2 knights, 10 country leaders. The few of them were actually just a bunch of brats who hadn't even grown their hair yet. In the team, only Lion Hong was Fengbo. The others were all at the commander level. For these few juniors to interfere in a war between universe countries, no matter how one thought about it, it was crazy. Are you guys afraid? Lion Hong creased his eyebrows. No, Brother Lion Hong, we aren't afraid. We simply don't think there's a need. The youth in the cabin shrugged. We don't have guards this time. The ones who came are all the younger generation. So what? Brother Lion Hong, think about it. If we were to really go there, what identity would we have? The youth in the cabin creased his eyebrows and explained, if we were participants, then we should be the leaders, but would the people there give us face? They wouldn't dare. Lion Hong's expression was filled with disdain. Who didn't know that his father was the Sky Lion Overlord, a peak existence even amongst the overlords? Even a supreme being would have to be courteous when he saw his father. Seeing Lion Hong's expression, the youth in the cabin Kyle knew what he was thinking. He was thinking of his father again. Didn't he understand that sometimes in this universe, mentioning one's father wasn't enough? Honestly, if it wasn't for Lion Hong's spot, Kyle really couldn't be bothered to interact with Lion Hong. It was just that he couldn't be too direct with his words. Brother Lion Hong. Kyle smiled and rubbed his hands. The Sky Lion Overlord indeed has an extremely high position in the universe. Of course, Lion Hong said proudly. He knew very well that everyone in the cabin was envious and jealous of him for having a father like the Heavenly Lion Overlord. Their clans were all vassals of the Heavenly Lion clan. Those who came were all geniuses of the clan. Many of these people had higher aptitudes than him, but even so, they still had to work carefully under him. Some people are born at the finish line. For example, Lion Hong. The person in this cabin had spent his entire life. When he thought of a goal, all he had to do was call out Father a few times and he would be able to achieve it. These are not things that could be resolved by jealousy. Brother Lion Hong. Kyle was still trying to persuade him. Think about it. It's true that the Heavenly Lion Overlord has a high status, but we are all juniors. Do you think those supremacies will care about us? On account of the Heavenly Lion Overlord, they won't treat us too badly, but we are definitely not the ones in charge. Then they're interfering with my mission, Lion Hong angrily rebuked. If I tell my father, they will all die. Ah, idiot. In that instant, Kyle, even the other people in the cabin, including that beautiful human woman, all revealed the same expression. The pitiful Heavenly Lion Overlord was a hero of his generation. Yet his son was so stupid. Yet he was the only son. If the Heavenly Lion race was really handed over to him in the future, then it was only a matter of time before the Heavenly Lion race was destroyed. They had to make preparations in advance, lest they implicated their clans. How laughable. At this moment, he was still mentioning his father. Giant infant? Everyone had already come out to the universe to train. How old were they already? Yet they still mentioned the Heavenly Lion Overlord. If not for the Heavenly Lion Overlord, would you still be alive? Furthermore, what did the current problem have to do with the Heavenly Lion Overlord? All right, the supremacy gave you face on account of the Heavenly Lion Overlord. But if he told his subordinates to ignore you, what could you do? Could you let the Heavenly Lion Overlord annihilate everyone? Simple thinking. It was really tiring to form a team with such a person. Kyle clearly did not want to bother anymore. The beautiful human woman in the cabin laughed. Brother Lion Hong, even if we don't care about anything else, Milky Way Overlord. He is the reincarnation of the Milky Way Master. Why must we provoke such a person? Him? The reincarnation of the Milky Way Master? Is he worthy? As the only son of the Heavenly Lion Overlord, Lion Hong knew a lot of information that the humans in the universe might know, but he was even more certain. The Milky Way was the target of the Azure Moon Galaxy. The Heavenly Lion race, as a vassal and subordinate race of the Azure Moon Galaxy, had an unsurprisingly hostile relationship with the Milky Way. Actually, when a Milky Way Overlord first authorized the Milky Way faction, the Azure Moon Galaxy had an emergency meeting. It was also during this meeting that the Azure Moon Star Master personally confirmed that the Milky Way Overlord was not the reincarnation of the Milky Way Master. He was just a lucky person chosen by the Milky Way Master. He was just a fellow from a native planet. Relying on the relationship left behind by the Milky Way Master, this native lived like a fish in water in the universe. How could Baiyu like such a person? Brother Lion Hong. Don't say any more. Lion Hong glared fiercely. I've already made up my mind. Furthermore, the report has already been sent. No matter how much you say, it's useless. Prepare for the trial. Moreover, didn't someone just say that we, the defenders, have a great advantage in this round's trial? Lion Hong was not stupid. He also felt that the defenders had an advantage in this trial. The Sacred Region Cosmic Nation had a total of 70 million life planets. There was no way they could successfully conquer them in a year and a half. When the time came, not only would he obtain trial points, but he'd also cause trouble for the Milky Way Galaxy. His father and the Azure Moon Star Master would definitely look up to him. Perhaps the Heavenly Lion Overlord would be happy and directly give him the position of clan head. Most importantly, he wanted Baiyu to see that the person he'd chosen was a failure. He didn't deserve her at all. He couldn't protect her either. Young Master, the Ancestral Dragon Clan's reply has arrived. The little photon fairy on Lion Hong's shoulder reminded him gently. When he heard that, Lion Hong's eyes lit up. Everyone, get ready for the trial mission. I'm going to confirm it in the virtual network. Then we'll head directly to the Sacred Region Cosmic Nation. Little did they know, on the Sacred Region Cosmic Nation star, Yi, the Ancestral Dragon Clan, sent another email. Again, Yi Zichen knitted his brows, then entered the virtual network. At the top of his inbox was a message from the Ancestral Dragon Clan. Ding! Attention, trial takers. The trial mission is about to begin. Please prepare. Preparation time, 3:59:55. Chapter 2704. The competitors had already been confirmed. Yi Zichen couldn't help but squint his eyes when he saw the preparation notification. In truth, it wasn't that fast. It had already been several days since he'd been confirmed to be on the attacking side of the Sacred Region's cosmic nations. Logically speaking, the attacking and defending side should have been chosen at the same time. It had already been several days. Yi Zichen actually felt like the Ancestral Dragon Clan's efficiency was rather average. They just didn't know yet who would be on the defending side. The email didn't announce it. Could it be that it was to prevent some sort of private transaction from ruining the fairness of the trial? Yi Zichen didn't think that was possible. He didn't have too good of a relationship with anyone in the universe. Of all the trial takers, only Yishin got along well with Yi Zichen, but they weren't particularly close. As for the others, not only did Her Majesty of the Virtual World Corporation hate him to the bone, she wasn't too friendly with Zhuang. As for the others, there was no need to even mention them. The Universe Mercenary Alliance, Gladiator Arena, and Their Majesty would love nothing more than to kill him. That was probably the case. The Tsangyue Galaxy was their daddy. Whatever Tsangyue Star-Lord told them to do, they'd do it. Yi Zichen was still worried. He didn't know how much he'd be ostracized by the time he got to the Ancestral Dragon Clan. That was why private transactions were definitely out of the question. Yi Zichen's impression of the Ancestral Dragon Clan was pretty terrible. He didn't care what they were like. He just felt like there was something wrong with them. Something very serious. If he wasn't mistaken, they might be in cahoots with the Tsangyue Galaxy. Going there was definitely a tiger's den or a dragon's den. His danger level was full stars. Yi Zichen took a deep breath, then logged out of the virtual network. When his eyes regained their liveliness, he saw many curious and inquisitive gazes. The trial is about to begin. There's still 4 hours to prepare. Zhao Xian shrugged. Are we going to fight? Meng Luo pursed her lips, then subconsciously glanced at the injured. Are they going to fight as well? Definitely. The Milky Way Galaxy's army was still on the way. It would take them quite some time to get here. If the Sacred Region people didn't participate, then there was no need to fight at all. They could just surrender. They hadn't even fought yet. Just their numbers alone were enough to crush Yi Zichen and the others. All right. Meng Luo's head drooped, and there was an indescribable sense of dejection on her face. She was very kind at heart. She liked adventures, but that was because she had been bound to the family for too long. She was full of curiosity towards the outside world, but the adventure she looked forward to was definitely not this kind of bloody adventure. She wanted everyone to live well. However, to be honest, this kind of thinking was too naive. He reached out and patted Meng Luo's little head. It didn't matter if she couldn't accept these things now. She would naturally get used to it after seeing more of them. No one likes war. But when the war came knocking on their door, all they could do was face it. In the future, she would also become the clan leader, and the entire clan's lifeline would be in her hands. If she remained as merciful as she was now, she would be cruel to her family. Perhaps Meng Luo's family was trying to change her way of thinking. That's why he chose to let her out. Seeing more of the outside world made her realize how cruel the outside world was. Lady, are you sad for us? Niu Meng smiled. If that's the case, then there's no need. As a warrior, dying on the battlefield is our greatest glory. For our home, for our family, we are willing to sacrifice our lives. But you will die, Meng Luo muttered. Death isn't scary. What's scary is dying for no reason. Niu Meng looked up at the outside world. Niu Meng lifted his head to look at the world outside. He looked at the sanctuary warriors who were on the verge of death but still stood strong. This is our choice, and we've never felt that it was wrong. All of a sudden, the expressions of Meng Luo and company changed. They truly saw a fearless spirit from Yao Mang's expression. Compared to them, Yi Zichen and Su Lu were a lot calmer. They had seen this sort of scene, this sort of person, this sort of thing far too many times. Just as Meng Luo was about to argue, she suddenly felt someone smack her head. She looked up at Yi Zichen and saw his warm smile. Meng Luo, you'll understand in the future. Actually, you can put yourself in their shoes and think about it. What would you do if your family was invaded? This question wasn't just for Meng Luo, it was for everyone else. What should they do in the face of invasion? Raise the white flag and surrender? Or fight to the death and protect their family's glory? They all had an answer in their hearts, and it was definitely the latter. But why do humans have to fight? Aren't we all humans? Shouldn't our enemies be the races from the outside? Meng Luo's eyes were filled with confusion and confusion. Why do humans have to kill each other? Is that good for anyone? Moreover, in order to stabilize the safety of the human race, we have spent countless resources and the lives of heroes to achieve the current peace. Why do we have to destroy it now? You're not wrong. Yi Zichen agreed with Meng Luo's reasoning. Infighting. No one wanted to see such an outcome. Yearning for peace was also something that every human race desired. The enemies of the human race were indeed those alien races with ulterior motives. They had always wanted to destroy the human race and plunder the human planets. But you should know that not everyone is as kind as you, said Yi Zichen quietly. You like peace, and you're right. Our enemies are the other races. But we've been at peace for far too long. Hidden beneath this peace is bound to be chaos. This is inevitable and unavoidable. Why? Meng Luo didn't understand. Because of greed and desire. Before Yi Zichen could respond, Su Lu crossed her arms and walked up to him. Little girl, your words reveal far too much of your naivety. I can see that you are a very well-protected treasure. But you have to know that human desires can never be satisfied. Desire? Meng Luo muttered to herself. That's right, desire. Yi Zichen nodded. When outsiders invade us, we have to work together to defend against them. But once it was over, our enemies naturally became our former compatriots. Humanity has always been a strange thing. It can never be satisfied. Long-term peace brings with it human desires. When a person's strength increases, but what they have isn't enough to satisfy their desires, then war comes. Chapter 2705. The desires of humans would never stop. Take Earth as an example. Since ancient times, humans were not strong enough to fight against Yao. So all humans could do was huddle together. That was because if they didn't do that, they would die. In order to survive, humans were willing to put down their pride. They attached themselves to other races. They used other races as their totems and enjoyed their protection in order to obtain peace and development. At that time, what humans thought was very simple, was to live. They didn't ask for much. All they wanted was to survive. There was no doubt about that. When even living was an extravagant hope, how could they think about anything else? But after they were able to survive, were they really willing to continue living like this? No. They began to think of other things. Rule. They wanted to overthrow their current status of being protected and rule over everything in the world. It was undeniable that they did. At that time, their desire changed from living to ruling. At the time, they might have thought that as long as they ruled over the Yao, they could kill the ones that didn't obey and turn the ones that obeyed into their war beasts. Then, humans would be able to live together in peace. But what happened in the end? What did humans think of when they purged the Yao? To rule over other humans. Just like that, their desires continued to expand, causing humans to be unable to live in peace. Perhaps peace could last for 10 years, 100 years, or even 1,000 years. For humans in the universe, it might last for several 100,000 years, but it would definitely come to an end. Perhaps there really were people among the humans who wanted to live in peace. But everyone thought differently. Ambitious people would definitely be born among them. It would be fine if these ambitious people didn't have strength, but once they did, They would use their own strength to satisfy their desires. And so war came. Actually, that was the case from any business perspective, even if one ignored war. If you had one, you would want two. If you had two, you would hope for three. And so on. There was no end. How could this be? Meng Luo bit her lips and muttered. Meng Luo, this is actually very normal. It's happening around you as well. You just haven't noticed. Yi Zichen replied with a smile. Yi Zichen replied with a chuckle. Think about your family. Isn't it trying to develop as well? Did your family ever think of saying, this is it, this is enough? Meng Luo was taken aback. After thinking for a while, she slowly shook her head. No, but we did it to protect ourselves, to prevent others from bullying us. Yeah. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile. It's true that it's to protect myself, but why do I have to protect myself? If the human race was truly peaceful, then why would they still need to consider such things? Didn't the mention of self-protection mean that someone would invade? Your family has been able to develop peacefully all this time because your family has great power and no one dares to covet it. The sacred saint universe being invaded is his growth. It's not enough to deter those ambitious people. Also, think about it. Did your clan influence other clans in the process of development? Did you annex some clans and force them to become your clan's vassals? Did you? Yi Zichen asked. Yes. Meng Luo bit her lip and replied. See, from this, it can be seen that your family is also ambitious. Yi Zichen replied with a smile. It's just that the method is relatively gentler. You didn't see blood, but it's actually another method of invasion, another method of war. Great deity, are you saying that my family is bad as well? Meng Luo's eyes were filled with panic. No, Yi Zichen rubbed her head with a smile. Yi Zichen smiled and tousled her hair. Even Su Lu sighed and patted her on the shoulder. That's human nature. Human nature? Meng Luo frowned. Wanting to become better is never wrong, Yi Zichen said seriously. Yi Zichen's expression was serious. It doesn't matter if it's for self-protection or invasion. There's no right or wrong in essence. Right and wrong are always relative. What we think is right might not be seen as right by others. What we think is bad might be seen as good by others. It's the same with war and invasion. The only thing we can do is to maintain the kindness in our hearts and not bully others when we have the strength. In the face of aggression, we have to accept and understand it. Then Sun Yue isn't bad? Meng Luo asked. No, he's bad. Yi Zichen replied seriously. But that's only to us. Because he stands against us, we think he's bad. But if it's the people of San Yue, they might feel that he's not wrong at all. Right and wrong, good and evil. It had always been a question of relativity. Yi Zichen's explanation wasn't just for Meng Luo, it was also for the Flame Rat, Bai Yu, and Hua Jinro. He wanted to let these children, who were soaking in a honeypot, know. The universe wasn't as kind as they thought, but they shouldn't think of it as too bad. Yi Zichen didn't know if they could truly understand this, but he believed that they would understand as time went on. Milky Way Lord, why you see things so clearly? Niumeng's expression was filled with shock. Before Yi Zichen's explanation, even he'd had a lot of questions. Now that he'd heard Yi Zichen's explanation, it was as if all his questions had been answered. Why did some people think he was good just because he thought he was bad? They even broke off all ties because of this. So it turned out that he'd been too naive. He'd only looked at things from his own point of view, but he hadn't thought about how things were from Yi Zichen's point of view. It's nothing, I'll naturally understand after experiencing more. Yi Zichen shrugged. Great deity, you should be around the same age as us, right? What kind of experiences have you had? The Flame Rat was stunned. Why do I feel like you're so much more mature than us, just like my dad? Me? Yi Zichen subconsciously glanced at Su Lu, only to see her shrug back. You guys are different from us. Lu, and I might not dare to talk about other things, but we've been through life and death countless times. It's just like how the divine region's cosmic nations have experienced countless similar wars. We've seen our friends and family die in front of us, and we've seen countless hot-blooded warriors fight until their deaths. How should I put it? Actually, if I didn't have such an experience, my life might be better. Was in the Milky Way. Hua Jianro raised her eyebrows. More or less. Yi Zichen nodded. It was on a planet with life in the Milky Way, which is also my home, Earth. Chapter 2706. The universe was relatively vast and boundless. Earth was, in fact, a miniature version of this place. Everything here would be directly reflected on Earth. At most, the scale would be slightly different, and the time would be extended infinitely. That's all. As for the root of the problem, it hadn't changed at all. Take a point as a generalization. The experiences he'd learned from Earth also applied to the universe. That's why, after spending so much time in the universe, Yi Zichen felt that, in terms of understanding and acceptance of certain things, they were far inferior to people on Earth. In truth, this wasn't just for Earth. It was the same for any indigenous planet. Their technology was backward, but that didn't mean their thoughts were backward. On the contrary, they were even more advanced. This was because the indigenous planets didn't know about the outside world. Their vision was limited, and their thoughts didn't need to be as modeled as those in the universe. They could use even less time to project events that might take tens of thousands of years or even hundreds of thousands of years. This may also be an advantage that the indigenous planet has over the human race in the universe. Home. Meng Luo blinked, her tone somewhat confused. There's no such thing as home in the universe. Yi Zichen froze, then saw Meng Luo and the others shake their heads. No, it's the place where you were born. Oh. Meng Luo nodded in understanding. Great God, is there a lot of war in your home? Not really, but in terms of time in the universe, it's definitely more frequent, replied Yi Zichen with a smile. Over the past few thousand years, our world has experienced countless changes of dynasties, roughly once every few hundred years. Changing dynasties is like changing the management of the Association of Supremes in the universe. Huh? Meng Luo was stunned. She understood this point. It was like the universe reshuffling its cards. In a universe, this sort of thing wouldn't happen even once in a million years. In the great God's home world, it happened countless times every few thousand years, and on average, once every few hundred years. Don't be surprised. Our people's lifespans are only a few decades, Yi Zichen grinned. Our lifespans are short, so everything else in the universe is naturally shorter. Once we get back from the ancestral dragon clan, I can invite you to visit Earth. Once you've lived there for a few hundred years, you'll understand. Okay. Meng Luo's eyes sparkled with excitement. After that, Yi Zichen told them many more things about Earth. From the cavemen to the modern civilization, from Yao Xuanyu to the end of the feudal society, Meng Luo and the others were like curious babies, listening attentively with their eyes wide open. Even Yo Meng, Winnie, and Aylin were listening intently. Bailey also sat on Yi Zichen's shoulder and opened his mouth wide. They were born on the life stars in this universe. Their lifespan was almost eternal, so they couldn't experience the life on Earth. Gradually, the stifling atmosphere in the surroundings became a little more relaxed. Yi Zichen had done this on purpose. He couldn't let Meng Luo and the others enter the battlefield with the same heavy hearts they had at the beginning. That would inevitably distract them. Being distracted on the battlefield was a big taboo, so he could only say something else to divert their attention. What are you talking about? You're all listening so seriously. At that moment, Tianhai hurried back with a chuckle and saw a bunch of people surrounding Yi Zichen and listening to his story like kids. You're back. Yi Zichen smiled. Let's stop here for today. If you're interested, you can personally go to Earth after the war ends. There are many books about this that you can take a look at. There are also many movies and TV shows that can help you understand my hometown better. Wow, that Zheng seems so amazing. Meng Luo's face was filled with shock. Yeah, I feel like if he was in the universe, he might have unified the universe, the Flame Rat also exclaimed. The Flame Rat was also amazed. Unfortunately, such a hero didn't live long. What were you guys talking about just now? Tianhai asked with a look of interest. I was talking about my hometown. Yi Zichen didn't hide it. Yi Zichen didn't hide it. After the raid ends, you can go and take a look. That place is pretty good. All right, there will be a chance. Tianhai nodded seriously. Tian Hai nodded seriously, then said, I've retrieved all the resources. Yi, thank you so much. Look, you're at it again, aren't you? Yi Zichen quickly interrupted Tian Hai when he saw that he was about to say those words of gratitude again. I already said that we're allies, so don't say things like that again. How is it? Did you distribute the resources? Yes, I did. Yi Zichen looked outside and saw that many people had already begun to distribute resources. That's good. Are the spaceships, warships, battleships, and battle equipment ready? They've all been distributed, Tian Hai said solemnly. Now we just have to wait for the people below to treat our injuries and stabilize them. Then, I'm afraid it'll be hard. Before Tian Hai could finish, Yi Zichen shook his head. What is it? I don't think they'll attack us for the time being. That's normal. Yi Zichen looked around the planet. Yi Zichen looked around. This kind of environment isn't suitable for long-term residents. The invaders know this too, so they naturally won't cause trouble for us. They know we won't be able to stay here for long. We have to leave. Yeah, Tian Hai nodded. But didn't the ancestral dragon clan interfere? With that, Yi Zichen told him about the time they had to prepare. They have time? Tian Hai frowned. That's not good news. If they have time, then they'll think that it's time to attack us as if they received a psychological cue. That's right. That was what Yi Zichen was thinking as well. If they didn't have time, then the invaders might attack, but they definitely wouldn't attack too quickly. Now that the Ancestral Dragon Clan had set a time, then it was very likely that they would attack instantly. What's more, they were in the middle of preparing. What should we do? Tian Hai frowned. Easy, I want to hear your thoughts. We can't hide the energy cannons anymore. We have to push them outside. Yi Zichen frowned. Yi Zichen furrowed his brows. The enemy's first wave is definitely the fiercest. As long as we block it, we'll be able to react accordingly. Right now, the first thing we have to do is defend. Use everything you have to defend against the first wave of attacks. Everything. Tian Hai frowned. No need to hide anything. Big bro. Yi Zichen couldn't help but laugh when he heard that Tian Hai was going to hide anything. Do you think we have a right to hide anything? They might send out all of their forces in the first wave, and we're still hiding. You're thinking too much. If you trust me, then listen to me. Don't hide anything. Use everything we have to defend against the first wave, then we have a chance to turn the tables. Chapter 2707. He had a backup plan. Leaving a trump card during the battle and then using it to catch the opponent off guard was definitely not a problem. The problem was they didn't have the right to leave a backup plan in their current situation. Not long ago, the Sacred Region Cosmic Nation had just gone through a huge battle. Those who were lucky enough to survive were also the remnants of the soldiers. They might not even be able to use half of their true strength. On the other hand, the invaders had won a huge battle, so their morale was high, and their battle prowess might even be 20% higher than usual. With such a comparison, the disadvantage of the invaders was immediately revealed. If Yi Zichen's guess was correct, the invaders would use the craziest methods possible to destroy the remnants of the Sacred Region's Cosmic Nation as fast as lightning. Whether or not they could survive was a problem. If Tian Hai still had a backup plan in this situation, then he might be thinking too much. Lordy, are you trying to get us ready to fight right away? Tian Hai frowned. That will consume a lot of resources, and it might be several times more than normal. Big bro, you aren't good at leading troops, right? Yi Zichen asked. Indeed, I'm not good at leading troops. Agio was the one leading troops before. Tian Hai replied. He wasn't good at leading troops. Actually, part of the reason he established the Sacred Region Cosmic Nation was because of Agio's older sister. At that time, she said that she didn't want to continue wandering the universe like before. Tian Hai agreed, and so the saint-level cultivators appeared. At that time, Tian Hai was still a king ranked, while Agio's older sister was only a countess. As for Agio, he had just become a warlord. However, at that time, the human race was still in the recovery stage, and the experts were not as complete as they were now. Being king-ranked was actually similar to being a supremacy or a lord. What's more, there weren't as many families back then. The Sacred Region Cosmic Nation they chose was only a few small families back then, and their overall strength wasn't particularly strong. Tianhai swept through them with the strength of a king ranked. In less than 2,000 years, he established the sacred region cosmic nation, and all of his wives and concubines were obtained at that time. If he wanted to get the support of some families, he had to marry them. Because of that, Agio's older sister didn't get the status that Tianhai gave her. In other words, their feelings had reached the point of tacit understanding. However, there was no substantial progress. In the end, Agio's older sister was plotted against and died tragically. By the time Tianhai came to his senses, it was already too late. In the sacred region, the person who truly commanded the troops was Agio. Even though his strength was much lower than his sister's, he had a unique understanding of commanding troops. Tianhai was also very reassured to leave everything to him, and he became the vanguard. Who did he need to kill? As long as Agio said it, he would do it. He didn't need to worry about anything else. To put it simply, Tianhai's ability to see the bigger picture was average. This could be seen from his acceptance of the marriage alliance. At that time, Agio had said that accepting the marriage alliance was only a short-term benefit to them and would become a burden to them in the future. Tianhai did not acknowledge him, and in the end, he truly did become a burden, a sharp weapon that stabbed at him. I knew it. Yi Ziyichen shrugged. Tianhai was indeed a supreme expert. His strength was undeniable. However, for what he said just now, it was clear that he was far too lacking in commanding troops. He was simply messing around without any strategy, nor did he know how to adapt to the situation of the enemy and his own side. If they really did as he said, then the sacred region would be wiped out in the first wave. They wouldn't even be able to last until Yi Zichen's reinforcements arrived. Where's Agio? I'll discuss it with him. Yi Zichen asked. Tianhai's eyes instantly revealed a desolate expression when he mentioned Agio. Niomang also frowned and muttered, General Agio already died in battle. General Agio already died in battle. It's my fault. Tianhai's eyes suddenly turned red. If I didn't insist on saving Jingling, then I wouldn't have been ambushed, and Agio wouldn't have died for me. Tianhai clenched his fists tightly, while a majestic aura surged out from his body. 2 years ago, the collapse of the sacred region cosmic nation was already a foregone conclusion. Tianhai was trapped on the main planet. When he was in despair, Jingling led her clansmen in and used the light elemental fairy's origin explosion to barely escape. However, Jingling was trapped inside. He disregarded everyone else's objections and charged back to save Jingling. Along the way, he was ambushed. At the time, Tianhai was already heavily injured and couldn't even use half of his strength. In order to save him, Agio personally led 300,000 people to break through the invaders' encirclement. Although he tore open an opening, he never returned. Whether it was Agio or his older sister, they had all died for him, and they were also the most important people to Tianhai. Sanyue Galaxy. This was an irreconcilable enmity. I understand. Yi Zichen nodded deeply, then patted Tianhai's shoulders twice. It is indeed your fault. Lord Yi, Niomang couldn't help but exclaim. Everyone else looked towards Yi Zichen, only to hear him continue. You are a mighty sovereign, the leader of the sacred region, yet you let several 100,000 people die for you because of a moment of impulse. You really do need to reflect on yourself, Tianhai. Comfort? Yi Zichen felt like there really was no need to comfort him at a time like this. To put it bluntly, wasn't it just Tianhai's willfulness? If the battle ended and everything returned to normal, then it was indeed fine to comfort him. If they were to comfort him now, could it be that they were asking him to continue to be impulsive and make everyone die with him? Tianhai, your strength is indeed at the level of a sovereign. However, when it comes to thinking, you are far too lacking. Yi Zichen spoke without any consideration. If you continue on like this, then all of your subordinates will die for you, and so will the people of the Milky Way galaxy. I don't care about your people, but I can't let my people die for no reason. If it is because of one wrong decision on your part, then everything will collapse. You won't be able to bear the responsibility. Yes, I admit, I tend to act impulsively. Tianhai didn't retort. From now on, I will be the commander of this campaign, Yi Zichen said. Yi Zichen said, do as I say, and carry out my orders. Is there a problem? Everything? Tianhai frowned. That's right, everything. Yi Zichen nodded seriously. I can't guarantee that all of my decisions are correct, so I need to tell you in advance. It is very possible that I will make a wrong move and cause all of us to die here. However, I feel like compared to you, I'm still a bit stronger. All right, Tianhai knew very well what he was capable of. He might seem like a very wise person normally, but when it came to a battle like this, it was indeed rather easy for him to get carried away. All right, then it's decided. Go and announce it to your subordinates. Chapter 2708. Warships lift off. Battleships lift off. Manned spaceships lift off. As Yi Zichen gave out orders one after another, the remaining troops of the sacred region also carried them out. Over 1 million battleships and manned spaceships slowly left the ground, creating a spectacular scene in front of Yi Zichen. Are the cosmic energy cannons ready? They are all ready. A reply sounded out from the communicator. All right, stay alert. After giving out the orders, Yi Zichen sat down on the ground as if his entire body had gone limp. Great deity! Meng Luo and company all walked up to him. Yi Zichen, who was sitting on the ground, smiled towards them, then leaned against the wall and looked up at the magnificent scene above him. This was the first time he was personally leading a war of this magnitude. Actually, he wasn't really good at leading troops in battle. He was more or less the same as Tianhai. They were both the type that were good at leading the charge. There was nothing he could do about it, so he decided that he would be the one to lead. In fact, Tianhai was even worse. At the very least, Yi Zichen had watched plenty of TV dramas back on Earth, so he knew how ancient generals led troops in battle. He had also read a few military books, so he had some understanding of it. Right now, Yi Zichen was merely leading until the sovereigns of the Milky Way arrived. I'll just leave it to them. Yi, what do I need to do? Tianhai couldn't help but ask when he saw that he was the only one remaining outside. Use universal energy. Yi Zichen glanced at him. Regrow the severed limbs first, and the rest of your subordinates as well. Don't worry about energy consumption. Let half of them recover first. Huh? Tianhai was stunned. They didn't have the advantage in numbers. If they used universal energy recklessly, wouldn't they lose even faster? I already contacted Chicano and told him to hurry up and make a batch of pills to replenish universal energy. I also sent a message to the sovereigns of the Milky Way and told them to purchase a large amount of medicine and supplies along the way. Yi Zichen let out a deep breath, then took out 2 boxes. These are the supplies I got from the tournament. I'll give them to you first. Yi, your pills. Tianhai looked at them. You should know that the sovereigns have an ocean of universal energy, right? These pills aren't enough for me at all. Use them. Yi Zichen muttered. If I consume the energy of the universe to recover, do you think you're a match for those venerables? Yi Zichen frowned and sighed. He wasn't at his peak. The situation can't get any worse. You can trust me. All right, I will recover as soon as possible. Tianhai put away the pills and left. He needed to find a secluded place to speed up his recovery. Wei, go with Tianhai. Yi Zichen patted his chest and summoned the time elemental fairy. She's not a time elemental sprite. With her around, she can accelerate the flow of time around you and help you recover faster. A time elemental spirit? Tianhai stared at the time elemental fairy in front of him. Isn't she wearing makeup? That's me. The time elemental fairy laughed and shrugged. I just didn't tell you at the time that I was actually a time elemental fairy. No wonder Bruiser said you looked familiar when I first saw you. Tianhai replied. Bruiser? Yi Zichen was stunned. She's my light elemental fairy, said Tianhai. She said it herself. She's called Bruiser. Everyone around them was speechless. What a simple name. I think so too, Tianhai smiled. Yi, Rouge is a time elemental fairy, and she's by your side. Why didn't you tell me earlier? If you told me at the start, I would have recovered already. If he had a time elemental fairy, then all his previous worries would be gone. Time elemental fairies. They were favored by the heavens. They had the ability to alter time and control the flow of time in a certain area. Tianhai didn't recover earlier because he was worried about the consumption of universal energy, but he was more worried about being interrupted during his recovery. The body of a sovereign was not as easy to recover as that of a universe. The stronger one was, the harder it was to recover. The stronger one was, the harder it was to recover. In his current situation, it would take at least half a year for his body to fully recover, even if he didn't care about the consumption of universal energy. If an invader attacked, then he would forcefully interrupt his recovery. He had used up a lot of universal energy. His injuries hadn't recovered either. I forgot about it at the start as well, Yi Zichen said honestly. Let Wei Wei follow you and recover as soon as possible. We'll decide on the rest later. Can others use it? Tianhai asked. No, Yi Zichen directly refused. Wei Wei used elemental power not long ago to distort the space-time of the Milky Way. What's more, accelerating time over a large area has consumed a lot of her energy. Understood. Tianhai left in a hurry. Yi Zichen stretched lazily and glanced at Bei Li, who was still busy. How is it? Pretty much, Bei Li replied. Bei Li hurriedly replied. I've changed the network coverage here to an alarm system. As long as there are humans invading within a range of 30,000 kilometers, I will receive a warning. Not bad. Yi Zichen truly admired Bei Li, the prince of the machine race. He could tamper with a virtual network just like that. He truly had some skill. It's just that your network program is too outdated. We, the machine race, can easily break through it. Bei Li looked up proudly. Bei Li raised his head proudly. Even these are all ordinary networks. I can't attack the core region anyway. That's for sure, Yi Zichen nodded. If it was the core region of the virtual network, even the machine race could break through it. The Virtual Realm Corporation wouldn't need to be one of the 8 great titans, and the human race had no secrets to hide from the outsiders. But Yi Zi, I have to remind you that this time's trial is extremely unfavorable for you, Bei Li reminded him. I just checked. The Sacred Region Cosmic Country has 70 million life planets. Our trial objective is to take back all of our territory. The chances of that happening in a year and a half is 0. There should be some sort of precondition, Baiyu reminded him. Baiyu muttered to himself for a while before saying, if they really want us to take them all back, it's clearly an impossible mission. Even if we fly over 70 million life planets one by one, we might not be able to cover all of them in a year and a half. That's right. Yi Zichen agreed with Baiyu's reasoning. Even if the dragon race is manipulating things from behind the scenes, they can't go overboard. If we really want to take back 70 million life planets, that's simply impossible. I feel like since the ancestral dragon race is conducting this trial, they need to weigh the pros and cons of this mission. Weigh the pros and cons. Hua, Jinro frowned. How? For example, aside from taking it all back, there's a second way to win. Yi Zichen rubbed his chin. It's like guarding Athena in the game world of Warcraft. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. Chapter 2709. Protect Athena. As soon as Yi Zichen finished speaking, everyone stared blankly at him, including Sulu. He raised his hand and patted his head. He did not have a childhood. They didn't even know about such a popular game. On second thought, Meng Luo and the others were all from the universe. When they were born, their civilization was already at a rather high level. The games they played were probably holographic projection games. Great God, what is protecting Athena? Who is Athena? Meng Luo asked like a curious baby. She is also a video game fan. During the period when she couldn't leave Planet Een, it was games that kept her company. This was also why the few of them had entered the second world of the Virtual World Corporation the moment it was announced. Not daring to say anything, Meng Luo played all the games. The universe was too big. There are also countless game companies. Almost every year, there would be several virtual online games. However, she had played all the mainstream games, and she knew most of the games from her friends or the internet. It's a game of guarding the goddess. Yi Zichen shrugged. There's a statue in a city. Every once in a while, people will attack. We need to protect Athena until the very end. Ah, got it. Meng Luo immediately understood. Isn't this a game to protect the Milky Way? Yi Zichen was stunned. The Virtual World Corporation once released a game called Defend the Galaxy. In the game, we needed to defend the galaxy from being invaded by others. At that time, I fought with the flame rats for several months. Meng Luo smiled proudly. In the end, we defended the Milky Way galaxy. The Virtual World Corporation has produced such a game. Yi Zichen exclaimed. Yeah, it seemed that the rumors in the universe were true. The head of the Virtual World Group, Wen Li, really had something going on with the Master of the Galaxy. He actually created such a game. Perhaps she felt indignant about the destruction of the Milky Way galaxy. If that's the case, the problem will be much simpler. Yi Zichen shrugged. If that's how the ancestral dragon clan operates, then we're the attackers. We only need to think about how to destroy Athena. After saying so much, it's still your guess. Hua Jinro pouted. The more possibilities we consider, the easier it will be to deal with it when the time comes. What else can we do? Are we just going to wait here? Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly, then raised his eyebrows with a smile. I'm telling you, that might really be the case. My premonitions have always been very accurate. You really are an optimist. Hua Jinro was speechless. What if he didn't protect Athena? It doesn't matter. TSK. In the end, it's all in vain. Hua Jinro frowned and looked at the world outside that was filled with chlorine gas. After reaching the domain stage, the human race's need for oxygen wasn't that high. The body's respiratory organs could filter other gases and thus maintain the human body's function. But after staying here for a long time, she still felt a little uncomfortable. Actually, all of this was secondary. If she could win, it wasn't that she couldn't bear to stay here. The problem now was that this trial was extremely unfriendly to them. Ding! Trial countdown reminder. 30 minutes. At that moment, a voice sounded out in Yi Zichen's mind. He subconsciously froze for a moment, then saw that the others around him were in a similar situation. I heard a voice just now. Meng Luo covered her ears. Someone told me that the trial countdown is starting. I heard it as well. Me too. Everyone in Yi Zichen's team, including Winnie and Alan, heard a low voice. Begin difficulty scan. Current number of people, 10. Difficulty level, 512 times normal. Begin construction of a trial. A few more voices sounded out in Yi Zichen's mind. Yi Zichen was instantly stunned. 512 times? How do they calculate that? The difficulty level was calculated based on the number of people. That woman Zhu Ying was truly vicious. She intentionally said that it was done behind the scenes so that people like Yi Zichen, who had connections, could bring more people. She didn't think that the number of people actually affected the difficulty level, although the voice didn't indicate whether the difficulty was higher or lower with more people. Yi Zichen guessed that the more people there were, the higher the difficulty. Otherwise, why would she say 512 times? Shouldn't the normal difficulty level start from 1 times? Number of people, 10. If it was doubled, then the normal difficulty should be 1 person. F***CK, doesn't that mean that she screwed everyone over? 10 people? Meng Luo was the first to speak up. She tilted her head and looked around. Don't we only have 8 people? Great God, are there others following us? No. He really did want to bring Ba and Beiyu during the beginning of the trial. If that was the case, then they really did have 10 people. However, due to time constraints, they didn't go to pick up Bar and Beiyu. Thus, the number of people remained unchanged at 8. That was Yi Zichen's plan as well. They'd head to the Ancestral Dragon Clan in a small group of 8. However, the Ancestral Dragon Clan probably wouldn't do anything like that. They could do something in secret, but as long as they had brains and eyes, they wouldn't be that stupid. Did your family send people to protect you in secret? This was the only possibility Yi Zichen could come up with. Meng Luo's family didn't trust them, so they sent people to protect them in secret. However, the Ancestral Dragon Clan mistook them for members of the group. That didn't seem right. If their family really did send people, then they shouldn't be too weak. Zhu Ying had given Yi Zichen a Duke-level bodyguard. If they were stronger than him, could it be that the difficulty was doubled? When he considered this possibility, Yi Zichen's expression darkened. That's impossible, replied Meng Luo seriously. I told my family that I don't need anyone to protect me. If it's just a matter of numbers, my family should know. They wouldn't do something like that. That's right. Baya nodded. Meng Luo and the others were right. Given their family background, they should know the rules of the ancestral Dragon Clan's trial. They definitely wouldn't do anything to harm them. Could it be that the other families were deliberately playing tricks behind the scenes? Yi Zichen knitted his brows. The number of people at the moment made him feel very uneasy. Just where did the 2 extra people come from? And the difficulty level? 512. That was a bit too high, wasn't it? Yi Zichen took a deep breath, then glanced at Bailey. Bailey, contact the head of the Virtual World Corporation, Wen Li. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to complain.